and we're doing an episode of The Game Takes, episode 28, presented by no one, since I still don't have a sponsor for the show. Today's topic will be kind of a little bit different because this is one of the topics I don't have any questions written down, since I kind of have it all in my head. And there's been a big tournament going to be coming up in 2 weeks, the 2020 R6 Invitational, the fourth one, as last year's winner, G2 Esports, 2 years ago, Penta. And 3 years ago, I didn't continue them, which is kind of EG. So we said, okay, let's kind of do a prediction show of all the teams, all the pools, see who wins, MVP players, all that fun stuff. And we're gonna let our guest introduce himself.
What's up, guys? I'm Wurzer. My name's Damien, though, but I'm known obviously through the comp community as Wurzer. I've been playing since the beta came out for this game back in November of 2015, and I fell in love with it ever since, and it's pretty much been my whole life. I started playing competitively around the beginning of year two, and I was under 18 at the time, so I had dreams to go pro, but those were crushed short, unfortunately, at the time because of Pro League moving off of Xbox obviously and going to a PC. And but I stayed very close with the pro scene. It was something that I loved, enjoyed, and yeah, I still have dreams. We'll be moving to PC sooner this year to hopefully continue the grind for Pro League. That's the goal.
That's nice to hear. So opening topic question I have for you is, what you already mentioned when you started playing, so that was kind of cut off a little bit. What got you interested in playing Rainbow? Like, what fascinated you about the game, and how long did it take
Uh,
you? Wait, I got one more thing to ask for that. How long did it take you to get Diamond? Like, what season did you first get Diamond?
um,
Because Champion came out kind of last 2 seasons.
yeah, I've been Diamond since beta. Since the very beginning, I was just one of those people that blossomed early, and I was just into every season. Um, I came from other first-person shooters, so like in the very beginning, there wasn't much strategy, because people were still trying to understand the game, so it just came down to mostly gun skill, and it just, yeah, I came from like Battlefield 1. I didn't play too much Call of Duty. I was never like a big person on Call of Duty. I had a long history in Titanfall. Titanfall was one of my favorite FPS shooters. I loved Titanfall 1. Titanfall 2 came out and it was to me, but I mean it was still fun to play. But I was very big in Titanfall 1. I grinded the hell out of that game. And I was actually in my believe sophomore year of high school, first semester of my sophomore year of high school. And it was early-ish November, and one of my friends, I was in marching band in high school, and one of my friends said, "Hey, there's this game you should get." We had actually played. He was someone I played FIFA with a lot, and he was like, "Hey, there's this game called Rainbow Six you should get. It just came out. It's kind of like some like tactical like CS:GO stuff." I was like, "What the hell is this?" And stuff. And I played a little bit of CS:GO, but so I bought the game, tried it out, and the rest is history.
That's nice to hear. Um, it's a little bit of a depressing story for me because it doesn't, you know, how like you had a friend introduce you. I just saw the game. So I just saw the game previously and just said, okay, this looks pretty entertaining and all that. But that's kind of really the end of the story. So let's get into the kind of predictions. So what we're gonna do for kind of the prediction side is we're gonna kind of talk about every pool, and all the teams in it. So we got Group A, Group B, Group C, Group D, and all that fun stuff. We're gonna kind of talk about all the teams. What are the strengths and weaknesses of all the kind of all the teams in, competing at the Six Invitational.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna kind of, once we're kind of done with analyzing all the teams, we're gonna kind of pick which two teams should make it out of the pool. And then we're gonna just go from that from every pool. Also, one more thing we're gonna do with that is, every team has a certain player. You might not know a lot about the APAC region. So if you don't really know which player stands on like the APAC region or what, I'm curious, what regions do you usually watch Pro League in, or do you
I mean, I
substantially
know
watch a lot?
generally like players in all the regions. I know like the standout teams of the regions. Obviously, my main focus is NA. Every now and then I catch EU games. Um, depending on who's playing and stuff like that. Rarely I watch an LATAM game, but it's usually like if like FaZe and Liquid are playing each other because LATAM used to be very top heavy. So it's kind of like when the Titans play each other, you kind of watch those games because they'll be good. Otherwise, just kind of like a slaughter fest most times. APAC,
Oh,
APACs are always at weird times, and like you know, try
yeah.
to keep up with it. But again, it's only like two teams. Like right now, it's only really honestly with the way other teams swap around. I think it's mainly just Fnatic, because one time it can be Cloud9 showing up, another time it's like Wild Card recently. Other time it could be Norangu, but Fnatic have been the one to consistently be there, and they've been able to tackle with some of the Titans of EU and NA.
That's nice to hear. So first, you want to go Group A for? You want to go D through A? You want to go A through D?
Oh, we can start with Group A.
Okay. I kind of want to talk about the group with that first. So we're gonna start with Team Empire. What do you kind of think? Like they are considered one of the favorites going into this tournament because of the recent past with the rally majors. What do you kind of think about this team? Like at this current stage?
For me, I like off the back, I think they're a finalist team. I don't know for sure that they win it, but like for me, I think they have the strongest chance to win. Obviously there's teams that contest with them, but I am almost certain that I think they'll make it a finals. I mean, the history, season what was it season 10, end of season 10. They kind of had a rocky edge to them and stuff like that, obviously, but they came off the Raleigh major win. You know, you can say they had a rough second half of the season. I think teams were just kind of picking up on their style, and now they've changed up some things. They don't run all the same strats over and over again, and they're such a more solid team ever since they picked up Dan. And it's been working good for them. They're definitely a team that I think is going to be strongest invitational.
I kind of consider the same thing. I think you'd look anytime, even if you weren't having the dominant last maybe 3 or so months, there is still a way you can make it into like you could still be a top tier team,
Yeah,
and you still always are considered a favorite, and that's what you kind of see out of this Empire squad. Just kind of a roster full of dominant players, who can pick it up anytime. You look at Shepard, considered a really good support player.
yeah,
Scyther really consider. I think you look at the team. You're going to base it off joystick. You're going to base it off Kazaka. Scyther has one improvement. I think one thing we have to kind of notice, I think from that whole roster is can Dan develop a little bit more, because I feel like that's where a lot of the backbone. Yeah, everybody can expect joystick and Scyther, but we seen inconsistencies from Dan recently, and I don't know if just say they lose the first map of whoever I don't know who they're gonna face first. When when the pool play starts,
yeah,
but if it starts off slow, I feel like yeah they shouldn't win it. But it just kind of just confidence does not look there if they lose that first tournament, and you just see like a struggle, like, Dan or like someone on our team struggle a lot because we never really seen them from behind recently.
yeah,
Well, especially how dominant the rally major was.
yeah. I
But
think
that's oh,
with
sorry.
that, with Empire and stuff, it's mainly the fact that there's no like one player you can really isolate on that team. Every single one of those players is a standout player. In my opinion, I think Shepard is honestly probably best support right now in the world. I don't think there's many other supports who are consistently doing their job and fragging all out as much as he is. And Dan's have had some inconsistencies. I mean, the team can sometimes show some inconsistencies, but again, they're prepping for the Invitational, and I know last year's Invitational probably still haunts them, and they want to win this year. So I imagine that they're going all out in their preparation. And even if one person has a bad game, you've got four other people you've got to worry about. So still think give the best shot.
Yeah,
And they start off against Fnatic, so that can be a good confidence boost. They played Fnatic before, I believe, at last year's Invitational, and Fnatic gave them like one hardish map. But then after that, Empire just changed up momentum and blew him out the water. So I'm fully confident in Empire to
yeah.
come out
Hopefully
on
that's the
top.
case. So next team we're gonna get into is I'm just gonna read down the pool. Dark Zero.
Uh, Dark Zero. Yeah, I want to say they're top team and stuff like that. The problem with them is after seeing the season 10 finals, I just feel like they're still like I don't want to say they're necessarily an online team because they can perform good at LAN, but they just have this seeming like they do the most in terms of preparation for their online games to make sure that they get to LAN. And then I think it's kind of different when you don't have all the time in the world, a couple days, if not a week or so, before your next game. And I think that kind of hurts them because they're a team that they like to take every single bit of preparation they can. I mean, they're still going strong right now in NA, but I would say that I think the rest of NA is maybe not playing up to their full potential, other than Space Station TSM. And obviously, we'll see. I believe
Talk
tomorrow
about
it
them later.
is Sunday. I believe it is that DZ and TSM actually play final game of the first half, so we'll kind of see where DZ lies. I'm kind of expecting TSM to come out on top of that, just because they've been playing hot, and yeah. But I think that can be a kind of a judgment. Obviously, I know they're probably saving some stuff. I would say DZ probably for sure make it out of the groups in my opinion, but where they go after that, I mean, it's hard to say. I just feel like the pressure and not being necessarily always online may affect them. I mean, obviously with the addition of Skies, a veteran LAN player, um, who knows where it can go. But I still expect them to do good. I just don't expect them to do as good as everyone think they will. I think a lot of people think they're expected to be a finalist team, and I don't see that.
I gotta go with this too. I don't know. I think the thing with Dark Zero is you got second at I think this is one of the stupid decisions I've seen. I know Nyx wasn't considered. Nyx could have not been the top player on your team at the time. Um,
Yeah.
as he kind of like he was the guy that I think people a lot of times blamed for why they kind of lost, why they didn't do good at the finals because of Nyx kind of making those idiotic decisions. And but you can't really solely blame one player for all this. It was just stupid because you got second at a LAN. How about you just improve from that? Instead, they
Yeah.
make a switch for Skies, which I think as people kind of hyped around. He was a considerably a good, really top-notch player for Reciprocity at the time, which was I think true because he's always staying out. It kind of what it also his experience. Um, BC goes into his coaching role. I think that was kind of expected for a while. Because
Yeah.
again, he's not. That's kind of what you expect from a guy like him who has veteran leadership like that. But I think, yeah, you said online performance. They have been doing better at Lance. I think, it didn't look great at Rally because they got out of pools. They got out of pools, like just decider match. I just didn't like that roster switch. I think
USN,
you build
they
off of
were
Knicks
at
and BC.
USN, I believe, but I think
They
they
got they
lost.
got first round.
Who did they
They got
play?
first round
SSG?
SSG.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
SSG have been on fire, so I mean, it was kind of expected. But
Well, again, that was practice too.
yeah, I
That
mean,
was like,
they're coming in, and it hasn't been an insane amount of time. They looked great in their online game so far this season, and I think the test against TSM will be a big show for them to see like how well they've come with Skies and Eclipse. I mean, because Skies, veteran LAN player, and Eclipse, you probably got one of the best flex players in NA, in my opinion. He's not really a whole lot talked about, but I mean, his stats show it at the end of the day. I mean, he does his job. Um, so he's kind of one that flies under the radar. And I mean, I think it's a good addition for them, but I just don't, this close to SI, I just don't know if that's the addition, if they really have that chemistry down already. And I think that's
yeah,
something that could hurt them.
especially how many. I think one thing I wanted noted out was how many sum fives they have had. The EG performance. I think they play Monday. If they play EG on Monday, that was some too. That was the most dominant performance of the season, and they had so
Yeah.
many sum fives, and they barely won. I don't. If that happened, like you're gonna face a lot tougher competition here. Um, And they do again. They get almost losing the Tempo Storm.
I mean, Tempo Storm game, it's a Villa game, and like a Villa is actually kind of showing to be honestly an attacker-sided map. So it's not totally surprising to see Tempo Storm really like rally back on their attacking side. So overall, I mean, it's hard to say. And like with the game against EG, it was very dominant, but they went against a poor EG. Like this, it's an EG that's a shadow of them former selves. Obviously, don't have Canadian anymore, and the lineup is just like they just seem out of place. Like they don't seem like they mesh well or really have anything down. So it's kind of hard to say with that. But I mean, that's why I said I think the test against TSM will be true because DZ they've been going I think almost a year unbeaten online for Siege games in Pro League. But obviously they're gonna come up against a hot TSM in the tie for first place, and that'll I think will truly tell if DZ's really doing good or if it's just good but not better than uh than TSM.
Next team we're gonna go to is FaZe Clan.
Yeah. For me personally, like I just want to say this. I think automatically Empire and Dark Zero get out this group easy. I think obviously skipping real quick to Fnatic. I think Fnatic will actually pass phase, and then I'm back this into why.
Actually,
Latam.
we can talk about Fnatic first
I mean, well,
if you want to.
I'll talk about phase because I'm kind of bringing in the Latam soon. I just think that phase might finish last in the group because I mean it's possible. It just has to see how they do against Fnatic because I assume because they play DZ. I feel like they'll lose to DZ because DZ has experience and Skies has experience against beating LATAM teams. But I think maybe they'll beat Fnatic. It just depends how hot Fnatic come into this event. And I mean, overall, it's just 50-50, but LATAM used to be a region that was very top heavy. You had FaZe, Liquid, MIBR, and NIP, and then it was just like four random teams. But those were the top four every season. There's no one that could touch them. The order would change where maybe one season NIP was in first, then MIBR. They all kind of had their like one season wonder. With all four of them and stuff, but now it's actually kind of influxed. I know INTZ is actually first this season. MIBR is actually in the bottom two. FaZe is like fifth or sixth, and Liquid's kind of sitting there in the middle of the pack. So it's kind of spread out
FaZe is
more,
dark
and
right now.
I don't know if it's really maybe the amateur scene, the Challenger League scene in LATAM is coming up, or if it's just a really bad season for all the pro teams, and maybe they're just getting caught on to. It's really hard to say because ever since the LATAM scene came into Pro League, those four teams have just been dominant. No matter how the roster changes go, they always stay on the top, and yeah. But it's very interesting to see how the other four teams, that people don't expect on game day to be beating those top four, how they're coming out on top of that.
So let's
But
get
me,
back into the FaZe talk. That's kind of nice to hear.
but
I don't. The FaZe roster just. I feel like they need to make a roster change. I I I know everybody wants the Astro cameraman and map duo stick, but I think it's just kind of time to kind of get away from that. I you got Yuna and Iron. I feel like they need to make a roster change.
I could see them
I don't
going
know.
for one of the amateur players, maybe on like another team. I don't know if it's INTZ or it's like either them or Black Dragons or one of those teams. They picked up a new player that's called like Hornetau or something like that, or Hornet for short.
Oh
I
yeah.
know I heard them saying in interviews that he was like a promising upcoming player in the LATAM region that everyone knew. I mean, maybe FaZe just need to go for a younger talent. Because I mean, it just seems like it's the point where like everyone just knows FaZe by now, and they can still outright win against some of the other teams on land, but they're when it comes, or I should say online, but on land they're just kind of getting, yeah. There's not really much they
I,
can do. It seems like everyone has their number.
Again, they got second at the season 8 finals in Rio de Janeiro. That was their highest placing. They haven't won
Yeah.
a LAN. Team Liquid has won a LAN. That was you know, they won the Atlantic Finals and then they just won a couple months ago to OGA Pit.
Yeah.
They have no. Well, actually, they do have a LAN win BR6, but that's not international competition.
Yeah.
Though it's still kind of like an experience there, but I don't know. It's just again they lost to Black Dragons and Team One. They lost to two. They can beat any other team, but they can, they can lose to like the straight out bottom two.
I
It
mean,
just looks embarrassing from them. Again, it was 5-7, so
yeah,
it's not like they got blown out. But
yeah.
if you see that against tougher teams, you're gonna say first Dark Zero the first match. You cannot have those. You cannot like fool around because Dark Zero is gonna kind of punch you in the mouth in any kind of mistake you have. Even if they're considered not the favorites of the tournament, like one of the favorites, but that you cannot slack against them.
I want to say
It's kind of
though
like
that I think at season 10 finals DZ played FaZe Clan. I could be wrong on that. You'd have to fact check me on that. But I want to say that
yeah,
DZ
they
played
did, but
FaZe.
they had a sub. They had
I mean, yeah,
I
that's
know
true.
9x2.
Yeah, that's true. But I still feel like I don't know. They just FaZe is a team that they when they come into lands they look like so scary, and on land you know it's gonna be like a fucking Hell in a Cell match. It is just absolutely frightening, and for FaZe it just seems like a lot of times they come in with like such as hype around them, like they could win it, and then it just seems to fade, and they just don't show up. And to be honest, I mean maybe it is a roster change. You know, we don't really know much of the behind the scenes, so it's hard to say with them.
I actually we'll mention this when we get to Group C when we kind of roster changes. We're gonna head to Fnatic next. You talked about them a little bit.
Yeah, Fnatic. It's hard to say with Fnatic. I mean, they always do good in APAC region, but I mean, there's no competition really for them. I mean, and they don't show a whole lot of struts because they always gotta save for land. I mean, so every now and then you still see them like actually a decent amount. You know, they may lose a one map because they play best of twos, or maybe they lose or draw, I should say, to a team and stuff like that that maybe they shouldn't too. But overall, they win the games they need to. When it comes to APAC finals, they've been showing up like every time. And yeah, overall, I still think they're gonna be strong. And I think, especially with the roster changes, they picked up Mentalist C from I believe it
And
was Arrow
Tex.
Wolf. Yeah, and Tex. I don't know who Tex was from, but
It was a
obviously
Team Sinister. It was one of the shitty.
Sinister.
I think it was considered one of the
Ah,
shitty APAC rosters.
yeah. They're the only roster that has a female Pro League player. The only female Pro League player as of now. But
Wait, who is it? I'm just curious.
Luna.
I didn't know
Luna,
that.
Virtue's girlfriend
Oh.
is Luna. Yeah.
Oh.
Um, yeah. I mean,
Interesting.
no, I just think I don't know. It's iffy to say with them because they look so good on APEC, but how good will they come? In the finals, they play a weird style, so I mean it can throw off teams. But I mean, they have to come in like fully strong, or else they could just be out in 2 games, and it's just another disappointing land. That you want them to go far, and that's what a lot of people expect. Obviously, I think they maybe motivated a little bit by last year's Invitational when Norengo made the semifinals. Maybe think that's something they like to do themselves. I definitely could see them beating FaZe Clan though, because I feel like Fnatic have a little bit more momentum to them, where FaZe, as I said, they just seem lackluster.
I I don't know. It's just I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna go opposite. Yeah, I think Fnatic's gonna be the first one out of the group. I don't. It's not the same Fnatic as before. Last year's and all that. It's a new Fnatic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know because again they didn't make it to. Again, you replaced two players. Maybe they look a lot better with Mentalist C on the roster. Again, it's not full Australian roster now, but they looked a lot better with them. Kind of looked, especially from what we've seen in Pro League, they're still kind of winning all the matches. It's kind of expected. Um, but I don't know. I just can't. I don't think it's not the same. If you're gonna have Virtue's kind of considered one of the most underrated talents. I think in the world.
yeah,
And if you're gonna have them, you're gonna need Virtue and Mentalist C to Mentalist to kind of really pick up the pace of the team. I think you also see you gotta see how I think Lusty and Magna do. I think those are not plays you're gonna kind of expect numbers, but they're gonna do the role. Tex again, another kind of considered Slayer on the team. So I think that's what you have to look at into those kind of few players. But Virtue needs to have that top tier performance, or there's no chance to making it out of even the even you're gonna make it out of the second day.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on if, like you said with Mentalist and Virtue, if their star players, show up. I mean, Virtue obviously being without question probably the best fragger in the APAC region, and he's shown on LAN that he can be one of the best fraggers as well internationally. I mean, it just depends on how they show up on game day. What kind of fanatic you're gonna get, and I will say this though. I did hear from an undisclosed source some information about a trade with Virtue that didn't happen. It just like fizzled out. But there was originally, I can't say names, but there was originally a request by an EU team to bring Virtue to EU, and I can't say which team or anything like that. But if that would have happened, I think that would have crippled Fnatic severely, because I think that's a player that you're not going to find another one like him in the APAC region. But yeah, but obviously they still have him. It was expected that they would want to keep him, and I mean, all they can really do is just focus up and play their game come Invitational.
Yeah, that's gotta be it. What do you think about Fnatic's new logo?
Fnatic's new logo? They got a new logo?
They changed it on Friday.
Oh no,
If
I
you
gotta
can,
see this.
well, what kind of talk you can? We'll get into the next group while you kind of find it. So Group B is gonna be
Oh, I
not as
see it.
sincere or okay.
That's actually clean.
What do you think about it? That looks a
Yeah,
lot better.
I still
Although
like the
I
old
still hate
one,
the logo.
but yeah.
I hated the logo. But this one, Fnatic one looks a lot nicer. Again, it just
Yeah.
doesn't look like so many random shit on there. But Fnatic's, I always hated.
I don't know
Fnatic's
why
logo,
they have
whatever the
to
case
change
is.
iconic logos. Like their logo is so iconic throughout esports. I don't see why they need to change it. Same thing with
Okay, it's
EG.
not
They
like
had an
it's
iconic
not like
logo.
EG's stupid changes. There's been so many.
I mean, it's still similar. At least they kept it somewhat similar, but I didn't feel like they needed to change it at all, really. I feel like they're just following a hype train of changing logos.
There's a lot. LGD. It's kind of dope seeing the LGD kind of change their logo. It looks like they lose like a one. I don't know. When there's a lot.
Yeah.
One strike made a logo. EG. That was the stupidest one. I don't know why you
Yeah.
just put words now. I don't know. I don't know why these teams are kind of rebranding. But at least out of all of those, whoever Fnatic looks like the best one.
Energies was probably the worst rebrand. Energy had actually such a really nice, clean logo that fit their brand, and they like threw it away for some trash.
Well, actually, it isn't that bad now. Kind of when you get further into it, like it isn't that bad when I kind of think about it.
But again, they
Um,
have they have the fame behind the logo. Like, when you see the logo, it means something. Whereas this new logo is like, what is that? Same thing with like Fnatic and EG. There's history behind the logo, so like, it feels like it has value.
Okay, so we're gonna. Well, heck, that's kind of interesting of a topic. Next we're gonna go to is Group B. We're gonna talk about Naz Spencer or Navi as Shorn, Rogue, Team Solomid, TSM, and Space Station Gaming. Let's start with Naz Spencer or Navi.
Yeah, Navi, they just kind of have the basic story, I guess you could say, with all teams after winning season finals, other than basically G2 and the past previous seasons when they were still winning. Most teams kind of go through a slump because everyone is now like focused up on them after they win. They've obviously had to show everything to win, so everyone kind of knows what they're doing, and I just feel like Navi felt like it would just still be easy for them. I don't think, they thought it would be this hard, but I mean, teams have looked at what led Navi to a season finals championship, and they've just adapted. And I think Navi is kind of struggling to find their footing on how they readapt themselves.
I gotta say this. I think I gotta go somewhere with that.
Yeah, and then
They are
coming into
last
the
place.
Invitational, they're going up against Space Station first game. Uh, like you said, last place EU, I believe you said.
Yeah.
Yeah. the last place EU, it's obviously not looking good for them at all, and they're coming up against a red hot Space Station. I think Space Station is just going to take that outright. I don't even think that's going to be much of a challenge, to be fair.
I just don't know what the problem with Navi is. I think ever like it looked like it was a honeymoon period with Pi. Pi,
Yeah,
I think from if I'm gonna be honest here, I don't think Pi has been looking great
yeah,
ever since after the season finals. Like Pi MVP MVP MVP. That was what expected out of that season 10 Cinderella story.
yeah.
Now it's just they're struggling, and I just feel like again the problem again the hardest carry in that team has to be they play Kendra into a support role. They play a support out for Kendra, though he's a fragger. So they're switching up roles with him, trying to get him off Thermite, give someone else who's a slower player the opportunity, and then I don't know. It just Nello. I think one player you have to look out for that team if you want to have a chance has to be Nello of out of because he's considered one of the I think best player on that Navi roster. If you kind of don't if you see him lackluster for a couple maps, I think that's just kind of it right there. I think they should get out first in the group. I don't want to say that, especially for a season finals champion, but that's kind of where it's gonna be heading if, especially with the online performance.
Yeah, forgetting about Citizen. Citizen is considered the best player on that roster. He holds the kill record, I
Oh
think,
yeah,
for that game on LAN against DZ, where he dropped like I think it was 23. Um, I believe 23. But even if he shows up and performs well, that team altogether is just lackluster, and it can happen, especially with, bringing in the new player Pi and stuff like that. I mean, maybe when they get Doki back from his ban and stuff like that, that might rejuvenate the roster. I mean, it's
that's
something
like
that
after
they'd
the
probably,
season.
yeah, it's something that they would probably want to look into. But I mean, overall, it's partly because they won the finals, and teams that win championships tend to have a slump naturally their following season, and also maybe the new player. And now teams have kind of adapted on to how they're playing with the new player. You could say the same thing happened back to EG when they first picked up Geometrics. Obviously, when they picked up Geo, they were hot. Teams just seemed like they couldn't stop and stuff like it. He was like the missing puzzle piece and stuff like that. But then teams kind of caught on and Geo moved on from EG, and now as you see like with TSM and stuff. The same thing. They're red hot right now with Geo and stuff, and they seem like a whole new team. And obviously, you'll have to see after Invitational and maybe the second half of the season if that continues or not.
Next team we're gonna get into. Let me just kind of get Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue, I think are gonna finish third in the group. It's plain and simple with Rogue. Obviously, this is I believe the stream roster. Um, yeah, it does get more simple with this team. This is a team that always like puts their all in online. They are like a sole online team. They put their everything they can into online games and stuff like that. They look red hot, and then they come into every LAN and they're getting like first rounded, or they're just like losing games they should not lose. They underperform severely every LAN, and I feel like especially with the pressure on Invitational, I just expect it to happen again, especially with them having SSG and TSM in the group. I think they beat Navi, but then they'll if so like I think they lose first match to TSM. Yeah, I think they're gonna get battered that match to be fair. And then they play Navi. I expect them to beat Navi, but then after that they'll just lose to SSG or TSM again. So I expect that to go.
I kind of think the same. I don't know. And this one's hard. I would love to go. I don't know. This is kind of hard group. But I don't know who's gonna finish kind of that second because I think Rogue has a chance of getting out of the groups. I know that was one thing that I kind of good thing you mentioned is they're not a great land team. Again, they got first round by Airwolf.
Yeah.
Giants game it now, but that happens, especially with a lot of high expectations from you for being able to win that side. I don't know where you're gonna go from there. I think hopefully the land struggles kind of go if they can kind of win that first match. They're versing TSM, right?
Yeah, they versed TSM. They versed TSM.
Okay. If they can win that first match against TSM, even if they go the losers, that's a lot more confidence. I think just they're gonna again they versus TSM. If they can somehow beat Space Station, if they whoever they get, we don't know what's gonna happen, but whoever they get in the second matchup, if they win that, they automatically go into the bracket play. I feel like they can go far in bracket play. I feel like they can get at least a semifinal performance because of how consistent the team is. Again, you look at Pro League, they have a lot of ties, but a lot of ties. They have close wins, but at least they don't have like even if it's a tie or like they lose, at least they put like, it's a close performance out of them. I feel like that's what's gonna kind of happen with them. They're gonna have a really close like kind of close battles with them. They probably should
Yeah.
again with the experience they have. They gain more and more experience on land. Those they probably had a lot because of the Millennium roster in the past. Let's stream, with Rise, Hicks, and like kind of Corey coming in the scene. I think in Aces, you're gonna see a much improved LAN roster out of them. I feel like that's where it is. I think again, LAN is hard. It's different because it's not online. You can't really blame internet. You can't really use your internet as your advantage. For other teams, but I think I feel like Common should get out of this pool. But we got two other teams to talk about, so I don't know who's gonna come out of this pool.
But yeah, like
Um,
adding on to the whole
wait,
thing with Rogue, they're the team I think but yeah, they're the team I
oh
think
no, you can go.
has like could like shock everybody, and people are like, well, why would Rogue shock? They're so good in EU. I mean, but that's the point. They seem to just choke or crumble at every lane event. So it would be a shocker if they all of a sudden like went big at Invitational and made a good run. But obviously, when you show the facts, it just looks unlikely because all their recent lands they underperform. Every single one of them. So I think they're the team that has everything to prove, really.
Next team we're gonna get into is TSM.
Yeah, I'll just be straight out with this one. I think TSM will go to finals against Empire. Straight up, I think these are the two finalist teams. This TSM roster is playing hot, and I think as well with Merc. A lot of people always talk about the Bolo edition and stuff when they came into Pro League. I mean, Bolo's, he's shown to be an above average player, but I don't think he's like, one of the elites in Pro League. Merc is hands down the star player of that team. He's currently leading all of Pro League across all regions in kills, dropping 10 plus like every game so far. Yeah, it just seems like they're the team to beat, in my opinion. They have the form, they got Geo, all the puzzle pieces are coming together, and Merc is just like, no one can seem to kill him. So, yeah, I personally think TSM are going to be one of the final team.
I think you look at that. I think TSM. This is probably considered the best. I think now you kind of consider the best NA team.
Yeah.
Just how again, besides the draw to Luminosity or kind of close game with Temple Storm, they, against again Reciprocity, they drilled them. That's like a top 3 team. We don't again Space Station too. Look at the use code up. It just happened this on Monday.
Yeah.
They just destroyed Space Station. Yeah, they were down 4-2, but they made it look so easy on attack. And I was just like, wow, that's impressive. And you see free. I think we go with the 4-head serpent. Sorry, Pojam man, but again, Pojam man's kind of doing his job. Even if he doesn't kill a lot, he gets the bomb down. That's what you need one of those players that does a little bit of the dirty work. But you look at kind of the 4-head serpent. Yeah, I kind of want to see more out of Bolo. A little bit, just kind of making sure he can have that same slaying potential. Like, I'm not expecting, going Mark's slaying potential, but a little bit higher. But again, if Bolo's against a really talented player, I think you can consider that. Maybe you don't see, again, maybe he's playing a lot more support roles. Because but Geo, the same thing. I think you gotta go with Chief as kind of one very underrated buck, kind of one of the best buck players. And Merc. I think Merc is the top player in NA right now.
Yeah,
No
for sure.
doubt.
On form, and Probably easily one of the best fraggers, if not the best fragger. I mean, the stats obviously say he is right now, and I mean he's showing it. I mean
I
everything
think,
about him. Yeah.
yeah. There's still, I think if Merc performs the same, and you see a little bit more dominance from him. Yeah, there's a chance they could make the finals. There's a high likely chance they should make it to finals. In that retrospect, because against how dominant they are.
I
Just
think
overall, I just online and all that.
Yeah, I think TSM's only problem will come with obviously being invitational, and then dealing with the pressure of overall performing on LAN. Obviously they want a dream hack and stuff like that. I don't think it's a problem, but this event has a lot of pressure. And say they make it to a finals and come up against an Empire, for example, I think that would be an extreme test for them, because it's one thing to be playing good, but you have the pressure and sometimes when you're under the pressure, teams crumble, and they don't play the same. And, if they say they make it up against a team like Empire, they're going against a team, the Russians, they're emotionless, they act like they feel no pressure at all. Like, they play consistent, they can be getting crushed one game and they turn it around and instantly, like, they're just on top of everything. It showed last year's Invitational when they played Fnatic. They got absolutely, like, overall just destroyed on. I believe it was their border game against Fnatic. Fnatic was just like answering all over the map. And Empire just had no response. And then instantly, it's like Empire didn't even remember the border game, and then they got the clubhouse and just swift 7-0, just absolutely crushed them like the previous map never happened. So. I think that's the thing with TSM is they just make sure that they stay calm under the pressure, because obviously they're a favorite to win, and yeah, we'll just see how it goes from there.
Last team I'm gonna go with is Space Station Gaming.
Yeah, I think they're the other team that's gonna make it out of the group. TSM first, I think Space Station second. Pretty simple with them. I think obviously it's gonna be straightforward with them. I expect them. They're also on red hot form. I think they'd beat Rogue or not. Navi. I expect they'll beat Navi in the first game, and then if they lose to TSM in the second match, I think they might. Then I would expect them to still beat Rogue. I don't think that would be an issue for them. Um, yeah, they make it out of groups, and obviously last year they showed they can pull up big, taking a map off of G2, and they look even better now than they did last year. So we'll just have to overall see. But I expect them to make it out of the groups. Now, what happens after that? It's kind of 50-50. It just depends on luck of the draw, who they get. I could see I could see a semifinals appearance for them. I think they want to top that quarters finals appearance last year, so I could possibly see a semis, and yeah. But after that, I don't know. I just think they're coming down to teams who are just going to be on the day. They're just going to be absolutely better than them, and yeah. Or Space Station's gonna have to show a lot of new strategy to really, I think, outperform some other teams. Because, like, if you look at the game they played in Pro League recently against TSM, gun skill wise and just overall this firepower, TSM was just absolutely knocking them out of the park. Um,
Well, TSM kind of pushed. Like I watched that, they fucking pushed the hell out of Space Station
yeah.
when they played on attack.
Yeah, because they were talking about how Space Station they're likened to dictate the meta. They've been running the mute Mozzie combo heavy, and they've kind of been one of the pioneers of it. And it kind of if you're a team that likes to take your time, you're slow, you want to make sure you're precise with what you do and stuff like that. It can hurt you and stuff. And TSM they just threw all that aside and just sent Merc Bello and Achieved in, and they just fragged out. I mean, you just really couldn't stop it. Um. So yeah, I mean, Space Station, they're just gonna have to bring a lot to the table. They're gonna have to throw new looks, be that team that just catches our other teams off, and with what they do. And obviously they have the momentum right now to help them out with that and stuff. But just see how it goes from there.
Yeah.
Obviously out of the groups, I think, for them, and then who knows after that.
I think one player you're gonna have to really say show up. I feel like, yeah, you got Canadian who has the IGL. Well, people are gonna say faults all the time, faults and Rampy, but I think one player that I feel like is still not. I feel like hasn't reached. I think Dick and Nate. I don't know. I don't really keep up like kind of the stats like how he's performed, but I feel like Thinking Nate is just kind of a name that doesn't really show up on the like he I don't know what role he's playing, but I think he needs to have that big. I think he finally needs to have that MVP like performance from him because again he's been on that kind of that Space Station roster for about 2 years, and he does play good, but he hasn't been that superstar player for that team. And I feel like that's a guy who needs to have that performance. I think feels like if he can have a big step up, and you just say one of your top players like Faults or Rampy are struggling, that's where you need someone like him to make a big stride. And if that doesn't happen, I think yeah, they should make it out of pools, but we don't know if they're gonna make it a final. They could have a chance of finals, but I don't know if they can make out of quarters out of that. If they quarters or semis, if they have a struggling kind of a thinking lane performance. Bosco again, really good support player. Um, that's just a player. I think me and you kind of, if you're gonna kind of watch that Space Station game roster, you would probably want to keep in mind. So we're gonna go into Group C, which is Giants Gaming, formerly known as Airwolf. They got picked up, I think, at the start of the season. I think first day of the Southeast Asian League. Ninja and Pajamas, Team Liquid, and MIBO. We're gonna start with Giants Gaming first.
Uh, yeah.
I don't know if you know a
So
lot about this roster.
yeah, this is the Arrowwolf roster, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's they kind of got screwed over. They came on some great form in the season 10 finals and showed and impressed a lot of people. And I understand, LATAM is kind of in an iffy spot right now, but I don't think they bring enough to take down the LATAM teams, especially with how they can be on land. And I mean, they kind of got screwed over having 3 LATAM teams in their group. It's gonna be a lot for them to deal with. I mean, really, I think their best chance to beat anyone, obviously their first game is against MIBR. I think that's their best chance to win because I believe MIBR is sitting 7th right now in LATAM. But obviously, who knows what can happen when they get to land. Overall, MIBR have the star power compared to Giants. I think that's what is going to be hard for them. Is that all the LATAM teams, they just have straight up star power. They'll just outfrag them, and it's going to be an issue for them. I think it's just going to come to a toss-up as to what 2 LATAM teams get out, because honestly, I think Giants finish last. I don't think they're going to have enough. I don't think the strats are going to help them out, when they don't have the firepower.
Again, this is a team. I think both of us. This is kind of a we watch other regions. This is kind of really hard to kind of analyze how Airwolf is going to perform because again we don't have a lot of info on like the Southeast Asia League or
And
any other league like that.
not to interrupt, but this is also the former Airwolf roster, and obviously they don't have Mentalist anymore, who was like a big impactful player with them. Obviously moved to Fnatic, so I feel like that's a big hit for them. Personally, I think without him, that's kind of like it feels like you kind of pulling the plug on them as a team. We'll have to see how they play, but I just don't think it's going to be anywhere near like the impressive performance they put on in Season 10 finals.
I don't. Well, so I can't talk about like. I feel like this is never mind. We're just gonna kind of talk about next couple teams. Ninja and Pajamas.
Yeah, NIP. I want to say they're top of LATAM right now, number 1 in LATAM, but LATAM's or no, actually they're second. I forgot they're sitting behind INTZ. But yeah, it's just such a toss up with LATAM, because it's like NIP. It's like they'll probably come second behind Liquid out of the group, but honestly they could beat Liquid out of the group. I mean they only have to. It's easy for the LATAM teams because they know each other so well. So I mean. Comes out to it, I really couldn't say. I want to say, I want to say that NIP get out second because I think they're a good team. I know for sure. I think they'll beat Giants because NIP have the star power in some of their players. But I don't think they have enough to top the group because I feel like Liquid on land, they come into play, and I just think Liquid will. I think Liquid will come in strong. And obviously, I don't think it'll be insane strong where they make a deep group stage run, but mean, we'll always have to see, but I for sure see NIP getting out of the group. It's a toss up as to whether they beat Liquid or not, in my opinion.
I give you a heads up. NIP is third place. FaZe is first in the standings.
Oh, is an INTZ a second then?
Yeah, because INTZ lost to FaZe on Wednesday.
Okay.
So FaZe is back into its usual kind of position where it's first. But NIP, I think yeah, this is not a roster that is land already. Again, you look at this is one thing you also kind of keep in mind. They made it to 6th Invitational last year. They were the first ones out, and then it happened again where they didn't even win a match in pools. 2 seasons in a row that has happened. And then look at him. We'll forget NIP. They didn't make a season 10 finals. Although they did have substitutes, so we're gonna kind of let that one slide a little bit under the radar. But
Yeah.
again, this is not a team that is. I don't know. They have experience now. They don't want to be the first ones out. This is the highest chance of not getting out first. Again, this is a team that didn't make it through qualifiers.
Yeah.
So this is kind of good news because again, the qualified teams always you think it's always the first ones out because they didn't do good online. But again, online performance is different from LAN. You do have teams that do perform better online than on LAN. Secret. But we'll just see what happens. I think this is a roster that should make it out. I think probably the first one's out. But again, I think one player you also have to look out for is Muzi. Considered I think the best player I think one of the top fraggers in LATAM. Can the rest of the team pick it up for him? And I feel like if that happens, I think this team can make it really far out of the groups. But maybe I don't know if we'll see if they make it to semis. But I feel like they have a chance to kind of have that possibility of the semis performance.
I mean, with NIP, it's just the thing, you can excuse the season 10 finals because they had 2 subs and they didn't speak the same language, so that's a major problem. Obviously that was really unfortunate. So you just put the season 10 finals aside. But last year's Invitational, I can't remember who they lost to in their first game, but I know second game they lost to Reciprocity. The thing I see with NIP is they're just not totally a LAN team either. They're kind of like a rogue. They do good online. They're a team that they're very online-ish and stuff like that. And they have a great season, but they get a LAN and they're not the same.
They lost to FaZe.
They lost to FaZe in the first game, okay, and then they lost to Reciprocity. I mean, I think they give a tough fight. Obviously, they showed it last year. They'll give a tough fight to whoever they play, but in the end, I just don't. I don't think they really come out on top. Obviously, this year, I think Giants will be an easy win for them if they play them in the second game. But obviously, first game for them is against Liquid. I mean, I think Liquid comes out on top of that, and I think it's just up to MIP to come out the group second. They're really just gonna be battling with MIBR for that.
We'll get actually the next team we're gonna talk about is Liquid.
Yeah. Straightforward Liquid. They've been 50-50 with their form as well. As all the top heavy LATAM teams have been the star teams. I think they'll get out of groups first because I mean obviously NIP are an online team and Liquid are a proven LAN team. They won the season 7 finals.
I'm guessing
in Atlantic City.
Right.
I believe so in Atlantic City and stuff. And MIB are performing really bad as well, and I don't see much from them either. So yeah, I don't think there's really much standing in the way for Liquid to get out of groups. But I think once they get out of groups, that's where the pressure is really going to be on. Because when you look at the teams who expected to come out of every group, it's going to be a tough challenge for Liquid no matter who they play. Really, I think their best bet, which I think they play. I want to say Group A and Group C play each other. So if they do get out of Group C, I think they have to contest with either, in my opinion, Team Empire or Dark Zero, which I don't see that going well for them in either instance.
Actually, we'll do the player predictions, but I just didn't. We'll do that. I don't know how the playoffs match up, but we'll figure it out. Actually, that's kind of interesting. Thanks for kind of mentioning that. We could probably talk about that later. I think Liquid has looked a lot. Yeah, they I think just they have inconsistencies. They have signs of greatness. Yeah, they won the OJ Pit Minor, and then they again they're not doing bad in Pro League right now. They have 10. They're fourth place, but they're the right behind them. They have 10 points, so they have like 3 teams on 10 points. So they're not doing horrible. But how do we kind of see, especially with they should make it out of this group. But how can we see that go further down the line? We don't know. But I think with the addition of Moringa, onside roster after Zig retired. I don't know. I don't, Zig, whatever his name is. After he retired, I think it's looked a lot better, and that's kind of great news to kind of hear out of that. Hopefully, just kind of develop and throw again. Sexy Cake, Nesk have been players, to especially Nesk, I consider another top LatAm player.
Yeah.
To really kind of step on. That's kind of where you can expect the hard kind of if you one player you have to expect to do good every game. I think it's Nesk. You can probably also add Sexy Cake to that role too, but we'll kind of see how that goes. Last thing we're gonna talk about here is MIBR. Or
I think the only thing MIBR are really playing for is just I mean, they'll obviously be going with a mindset to get out of groups, but I think if they, they lose that, well, they'll beat Giants in the first game, but then I think obviously, they'll probably lose to Liquid in that second game because they'll be the both winners, and I expect Liquid to be NIP. And then once they do that, obviously at that point they're just fighting to, they're just gonna be. I think that then they'll play. Wait, they'll play Giants again. I think. No, how will that go? No, they'll play. They would play NIP technically speaking if they won and then lost. But yeah, at that point, I think they're just playing to not finish last in their group because I think Giants is probably gonna finish last, and they're just playing for dignity at that point, really. There's not really much to say. They're just a lackluster team right now. Not up to the form they have been, especially with having some of the star players they have, like Cyber and Bullet One. Star players in LATAM, it's just not been there for them, consistently. And that's the story with all the LATAM teams is, they win some of the games you wouldn't expect them to, but then they're losing to teams that you wouldn't expect them to lose to, FaZe, Liquid, all the teams. Like, I think it was Liquid, maybe it was Liquid, I think, it lost to INTZ and stuff like that. And, last season, INTZ were kind of seen as like, oh, they're just like a joke team, they're nothing and stuff. But now, all the top-heavy LATAM teams are getting cut off.
Mortals did get so this is kind of form I just kind of want to get last year. The Mortals got out of Group B. They made it to the decider match, which they lost 2-1 against SSG.
Yeah.
So they didn't make it out of groups last year, and I think at the Rally Major they didn't make it out of. They were kind of the first team eliminated out of their group, so they have not been a really good LAN team overall. I think also the same thing. I think the same thing with the Milan Major. I'm probably guessing they got eliminated first.
Yeah, I don't.
So it hasn't been really looked great for them in regards to LANs.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly with them, but I mean, again, they're a team like NIP. They give a good fight when they go to LAN, but overall they're just not coming on top. And also, they had a close match with SSG last time, and I mean, I think that would probably go differently, next time stuff, because if you look overall, LATAM kind of has, other than Season 7 finals, LATAM kind of has a history of losing to NA teams. Of as strong as sometimes NA teams look with, the Liquid and the FaZe, other than that, NA, I believe, has a decent record of winning against LATAM teams on LAN.
Yeah, I just can't see it, especially how much they've been struggling. Yeah, they won the qualifiers, but again, it's a region that isn't really dominant overall.
Yeah.
And kind of teams, yeah, you do have INTZ kind of being the new team that could blow up. But that's different because I don't know, they could struggle second half. I don't know, this roster sucks. I think they need to make a roster change. I think it's just kind of a drastic one. I don't know who they're gonna replace. Because I really don't keep up with the players' side,
Yeah.
but it's a team that needs it. So we're gonna go.
But
So
last thing, how all of a sudden there's a shift between, the top four star teams in LATAM and the bottom four, and all of a sudden they're kind of mixing between and stuff. And a lot of teams look like they need a roster. I think we could see like one of the first ever like major like LATAM shuffles, compared to the NA shuffle. I think this could be a first time for a LATAM shuffle where a lot of LATAM teams start to just make moves. See how that goes.
Yeah, I think that should happen too. Um, so we're gonna see some NIP and Team Liquid get opponents. So we're gonna go into Group D. Team Reciprocity, Wildcard Gaming, BDS Esport. I don't know why it says I don't know why they call it Esport instead of Esports, as they're kind of the second part of it. And then G2 Esports. Okay, so Esport and Esports. So we're gonna go with Reciprocity first.
Yeah, so I might have a little bias because this is actually my team that I support. I love Reciprocity.
That's okay.
So, but being realistic, they're on some good form, and I think they're a LAN team. They've proven it last year, going to the semifinals against G2, obviously. And G2 was hot last year, Invitational, and then obviously in Tokyo going to the semifinals and going 3 maps with the champions Navi. Reciprocity just show they're built with LAN players, and they just have the star talent across the board in terms of their fragging, obviously. Maybe some chemistry to work on with Vertical and Nyx and stuff like that, but I still think it can allow them to go far. Vertical is an exceptional fragger, and that's already adding on to Laxing, who's arguably the best player on the team and one of the best fraggers, flex players, whatever you want to call him overall in NA. Definitely one of the most consistent, if not the most consistent, in my opinion. So I think for sure they get out the group. Honestly, I could see them getting out first. I think their only challenge is going to be BDS, because I think Wildcard can sometimes be a throw-off, but I think Reciprocity won't be a team that really slouch on Wildcard, especially because there's VODs for them from Season 10 finals, I believe. So I don't think they'll slouch too much because, you don't want to get caught off by an APAC team in the first round and then put yourself in a bad situation. So I think they'll have done the preparation work for that if they happen to lose first game. But obviously the first game is against G2. So, and I expect them to beat G2. I'll get more onto that later, but yeah, I expect them to beat G2.
Okay, well, we're gonna talk about the players later, but I just found something interesting. I don't know why this show's on here. I don't know if this is like an error or something like that, but this says there's losers round 1 for the 6th Invitational for the playoffs. There's gonna be a losers bracket in 6th Invitational.
Well, yeah, there's always a losers bracket. There was one last year. The two teams. Yeah, no, the teams that play. So each team plays there. So like you could say for like Group T, Reciprocity and G2 are gonna play each other, and Wildcard and BDS. The 2 losers of each of those matches, they play each other. It's the same thing last year.
Oh no, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. It went into playoff bracket play.
Oh, it's
if you
a
can
loser
look at the
bracket in the
R6
playoff.
If you can look in the R6 Wikipedia, while we're kind of talking about, while I talk about Reciprocity here, you can go all the way to the bottom and you can see that there's a losers round bracket. So I'm talking about Reciprocity. So I feel like I think one player that you need to kind of have step up is Retro. I feel like, yeah, he's a support player. You're not going to expect him to frag that much, but I think we kind of need him to kind of really improve that role a little bit more. Foxay, kind of really a clutch guy. Also probably need a little more improvement from him, but you look at the hard carry of the team, I think Vertical and Laxing. Vertical considered, I think, one of the most, most underrated NA player because of how kind of talented he is. Yeah,
and
there
Nyx,
could be games he got
fair.
instances. Yeah. But I think just kind of look at Vertical. He's just that really hard carry slayer. You put him on up, you can kill anyone. Yeah, this should be the first team out of group, but I don't know if I can't expect them to make them out to semifinals of any kind of sort.
I think the only thing that hinders them, and I don't think it's like, anything like their fault and stuff like that. I mean, I guess, but obviously, the roster change. It wasn't their fault because obviously Sky's left to go to DZ. They didn't drop him, so it wasn't their choice. And then obviously they did drop Mark, but I mean, either way, if they didn't have dropped Mark, it's still one roster change, and people will always have their opinions about, Mark being dropped. Um, so overall, I think they got a good deal of it getting Knicks and Vertical, but I think that's, what will probably hurt them late on, and maybe they get to semis, maybe, you know, maybe. But then that's obviously where they would lose again. I just think it's the roster change. They don't have the chemistry quite down yet. Yeah, that'll just be.
I think you
We'll
also
have to
don't
see.
really have the slaying power, too. I think like that's like you can look at TSM. They got 4 players who can probably slay out anytime, get like 10 plus kills. But I just feel like this team is just gonna rely too much on Nyx and Laxing, and that's where I just have the issue with it. Can anyone step on this roster? Yeah, that's kind of what you expect. Anyone can show up on any day, but I think you kind of from what everybody expects, what I expect, I think there's no chance this should make it out of kind of those
Yeah.
only 2 forms, and that's where you gotta go with it. So next team we're gonna talk about is Wildcard Gaming, the APAC team.
Yeah, obviously had a crazy showing at season 10. Showed some crazy stuff, especially against Navi. Did they take a map off Navi? I could be wrong on that.
They took a map. They took a map
Yeah.
and they lost the last 2.
The thing what they did with Navi is they had definitely watched VODs of Navi, and they did the research, and they just threw curveballs at Navi. They knew Wildcard, they don't really have any star players. I don't even consider Neophyter, even though he used to play for Fnatic. I don't consider him like a star player. They're just like an average team, and they just like used the tools available and did their VOD research and just threw a lot of curveballs in the way of Navi, and it threw them off enough that they were able to win a map. But overall, you are gonna need some star power, especially when you're going against a group filled with star power. Um, yeah. I mean, because when you look at it, like we said with Reciprocity, they've got Lax, Vertical, Nyx, just as those main 3. You look at BDS, they've got Shaiko, seemingly the one-man army. And then obviously G2 on a better run of form, but they still have star players of that team. I mean, they are the 2-time world champions. And Wildcard, what do they have? Not really anything to show for.
Also, we don't have a lot of intel on them because again, APAC is not. We
That
don't
is
watch the
true.
region a lot.
I mean, that's true. They do have
So
some
it's hard.
info, obviously, from season 10, but again, I just don't think it's gonna help them enough, and I don't think they're gonna have an as impressive performance as they did at season 10 finals. So, in my opinion, I expect them to go out the group 0-2.
So next team we're gonna talk about BDS Esports. Okay, and
yes.
let me talk about the wildcard thing first because I forgot to mention it. I don't know. This could be a team that could really shock. If I'm not shocked if they win the first round match, but I just can't see them getting out pools because I think you gotta look at the lane experience too. Neophyter is the only one who has more than 2 lane experiences. The only one who has competed at an invitational. For that with that the Fnatic roster in the past. So that's a play. I think that's where you gotta look at that player and just say, okay, this is
You
what we
could
got.
put form aside for a sec, how the teams are currently doing in terms of their form, and just look at the experience. Wildcard, you only have 1 LAN experience. You're going against Reciprocity and G2, even though Reciprocity is on decent form, but G2 obviously on really bad form and stuff like that. They still have veteran LAN experience on all their players and stuff. This isn't nothing new to them playing on a big stage with pressure on them. So obviously, I mean, it doesn't really matter, because I don't think Wildcard's gonna have what it takes even in the groups. So, yeah.
Well, actually, they're not gonna play a main stage immediately. They're gonna play in a side stage, and that's kind of
Yeah,
we've seen in the
I know.
past.
It's still LAN, but
Um,
obviously it's not on stage. But I just don't think they, even playing on LAN in general, I just don't think they have what it takes in the groups to beat out, Reciprocity and BDS. And even if they somehow pulled a miracle, main stage, I don't I don't think that would work out for them too well at all.
so while we're getting that, next team is BDS, Esports.
Yeah, EDS. So a lot of things to talk about this team. Obviously dropped Panics. Second time Panics got dropped for Invitational. It's really unfortunate for him. I mean, Shaiko's on his revenge tour. I expect Shaiko to go big at Invitational. but that's all there is to talk about with that team, Shaiko. There's nothing else. I think they're a great team. They can do the research and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, in my opinion, they're gonna beat Wildcard outright. I don't think there's any question about that. But then it's, can they beat Reciprocity? Does one of those teams show up and have a good day? Does one show up and have a bad day? Does one prep well for the other? How does that work out? Um, so personally, I just think there's more star power, obviously, compared to the one player on BDS of Shaiko. Reciprocity just anyone can show up, and they have more than one player to show up. So, in my opinion, I think BDS can give a good fight to Reciprocity, but I think they'll finish the group second. Then they'll probably lose in quarters. I don't expect them to make a semis appearance, in my opinion.
I think the problem with BDS is I think, yeah, they're a 5-man team, but it's just you mentioned it when you started. It is Shaiko. Again,
Yeah.
he's on a revenge tour, and I think this is going to motivate the team a little more because again, yeah, you've proven it. Yeah, they're not a top team, but they've been performing like decently well. They're not performing horribly. Kind of what you expect from like Tempo Storm or Navi in the case, or like Team One in those specific region or EG, well, in those specific regions. But I think they're not really looking that great. Well, they're looking decent enough, but I don't know. It's just you cannot rely on a one-man army to do it. You're gonna have other players step up. I think Renshiro. Wait, I might be wrong. I don't. I think that's the name. Hopefully it's right. Yeah. I think when Alem's getting on the roster, I don't know how the team secret situation is gonna work out because I think he's on loan with BDS or not full contract yet, but. Alems has been a player who has looked really good, especially since he got released from Team Secret. Renshiro is considered. I think you're gonna expect two players to pop up. I think you're gonna see Rafal and RXWD. They need to be those players who can also step up to the occasion and kind of have those decent stats. I'm not expecting Shaiko level stats because Shaiko is just gonna take everybody by storm because he's a beast.
Yeah.
But you gotta expect that you gotta have those couple guys step up. I think for the whole team because I think Shaiko can just do it all. Problem is when Shaiko dies, it just kind of people always the casters always say, oh, Shaiko's dead. Oh, makes the round a lot easier for blah blah blah. Because of how important Shaiko is as a player, and then and that's you're gonna need those other players to step up. I'm gonna add one more thing. I think Shaiko will be on a different team by the end of this invitational. I think you're gonna see no, this is just I think it's my opinion here. I feel like it's gonna happen. I don't know. I don't know why I'm thinking about that. I feel like it will happen where he'll be on a top tier team. I don't know what team. Well, we don't know. I don't expect Empire or Rogue to kind of make moves, but I think if we see G2 really struggle at the Invitational, they could invest in a talent like Shaiko and to kind of replace maybe Crying or Uno or maybe it might be unrealistic. It might be unrealistic here, because Fabian.
I'll actually say something because I have some more undisclosed information. NDA, but I got the leaks out here. Can't name sources, but I'll get onto that. But yeah, BDS. I think Shaiko will play at the second half of the season, but as to where he moves to, it's really hard to say because I don't really know how good his English is. From where it's not, amazing. So it's not great, and stuff. And the only other French team, most European teams have actually moved to English. So his team, I believe, is the only French-speaking team right now. So, he would really need to improve his English if he seeks to move away. And it's just a matter of time for him to see how that turns out. And then if he improves his English and he's at a good point, then the options are unlimited as to where he could go. Maybe a move to G2 and stuff like that. But then you'd have to change the rules around because like who's first primary entry, is it him or Kanto? A lot of questions to be asked in that kind of scenario. So yeah.
Well, it could be
but overall,
switch. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's hard to
yeah.
tell.
Overall, I think BDS mesh well as a team, but they just don't have the star power to be a team like Reciprocity, in my opinion. Especially coming with a roster change.
That's bullshit. Um, so last team I'm gonna talk about is G2.
Yeah. So with G2, um, this is the one I want people are like, obviously they're performing bad, and I kind of thought, oh, I think G2 are doing some prep for the invitation and stuff like that, and no one's saying they aren't and stuff, but so prior to me getting some undisclosed information that was leaked to me, uh, personally from an anonymous source they cannot name, it seemed like they're probably prepping, they're saving the strats, as they like to call it, for Invitational, and, they'll show up big when it comes time to defend their title. Um, so sources have been leaked. They are benching Cryan for Invitational, and Cryan will not be playing. And they are currently inquiring a loan for a Penta player for the Invitational. So it is not expected how Cryan status will be post invitational depending on GT's performance. But I mean, if you're this desperate that you're benching a player, before the World Championship, it's not going to go well. You're going to have no time at all because, you know, from what I heard, they're right now trying to finalize the deal to get them on loan. It just, yeah, I think for G2, if they get lucky and beat BDS, man, then maybe they come out the group second. But after that, it's a quarterfinals loss for sure for them. There's just gonna be lackluster chemistry. Um, yeah, bringing on another new player just for the invitational, and you have no time at all really to prep with them. Like, you have from basically now until invitational. It's not gonna bode well for them at all, unless they just like absolutely just like throw the strats aside and just play whatever. Maybe kept some people off, but yeah, I just don't think it's gonna go well for them.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything to kind of the same thing. Just we don't know what we can expect out of that.
Yeah, and it
Kind of
hasn't been
last year.
confirmed what Penta player, but it's expected it could either be like maybe an enemy, who is a prominent player on the Penta roster, or a Yonix, who's a young, promising player, that some people could expect something out of. But I'm expecting maybe they would go with more like possibly the enemy, maybe a Revon, depending for what kind of role they're looking for. But just someone with some experience who's kind of a veteran of the scene. But yeah, but can't name any source or anything like that. But you will be seeing pretty soon that Cryan will not be playing Invitational. Make sure to credit me for leaking that one, boys.
Well, we don't know
Yeah,
yet.
got the
But
hot
that would be
leaks.
interest. That would be interesting if that was the case.
I mean, it's from an official
Um,
source. I can tell you this. I cannot say names, but it is from an official source within G2. So it's not a lie. It will be happening. But obviously, I cannot give names or anything like that. That'd be breaking NDA.
no, totally. Um, I don't know. I just feel like this team, like I know they got I think the reason the ESL or whoever the community, whoever decided wanted them decided why they wanted GT. Again, they won the world championship in the past. He might as well Rihanna them, but if they win
Yeah.
in they win it next year and they don't, just sit unrealistically, they win it next year somehow. Like, oh, sorry,
I
this year,
mean, yeah.
and they
I
do
mean,
it
you just
again
give
and they don't
credit to
make it.
them. It's simple.
Yeah.
You give credit, two-time world champ. They've done so much, but I mean, it's not their year. I think a lot of people just expect them to be this dynasty that never ends, and I mean, unfortunately, it's obviously not true. I mean, maybe they'll give a good fight and stuff like that, but obviously, they're going against some solidified rosters who are just on hot form right now. It's not gonna work out for G2 unless they just pull off like the absolute miraculous miracle of the century. But obviously benching Cryan right before Invitational and getting another player on loan, it's just not working for them, especially with the form they're on. They're at desperation at this point.
I don't know. I just feel like another player you had to switch out is I think Uno. Uno, who's again got picked up right before the rally major. I think feel like that's a player who needs to really step up too because
But
again he was on that stream roster. He wasn't considered the best, and then G2 said fuck it, we'll go pick up Uno, and he hasn't
yeah,
been having those superstar performances. Kind of what you expect from him, like
I mean,
what you kind of expect from an experienced
but you
player like him.
know, he's not really expected to because he's kind of like on a flexish role, and I mean he has
So
shown some good performances online stuff like that. But you gotta remember he's playing with arguably the three best players in the world on his team. No matter how bad the form is, there's no doubt in my mind. I think Fabian is hands down the best player in the world. Best IGL hands down. Fabian and or not Fabian. I said Fabian.
Pengu.
Pangu, yeah, Pangu in my obviously second. I don't know. It's always weird with the roles he plays because Pangu plays whatever. But I mean, you could say he's another great sport. I don't think he's the best right now. I think Shepard, obviously, I said that has him topped. Then and then obviously Kanto, best fragger. Just on any given day, any of those three, they are the best in the world. There's no doubt about it. No matter how bad the form is, it's unarguable skill that they have. So
I'm
yeah.
just curious. What team, if it wasn't like, what team did you initially want to see in that final direct and fight spot?
I wanted to see G2, obviously. Yeah, I wanted
Oh,
G2 because I feel like the world champions should always be able to defend their title. I honestly feel,
that's
in
what they
my
did with it.
opinion, that the world champions should automatically qualify for the next invitational so that they have that right to have that storyline to defend their title. No, I think it's their right. Like I said, you can look at this year and stuff like that. Second place at Raleigh Major. What was it? I can't remember before that what the previous night final they finished was. Before Invitational, but they have, even on a bad year, they have results that other teams dream of and wish they could be doing consistently. So I think G2 will get back to form, but right now it's
Not
just
now.
not their time. Yeah, it's just not their time. But obviously that core, as long as they have that core three of Fabian, Pengu, and Kanto, that roster is always going to be something to worry about. They just have to get those other two slots settled. Figure out what they're going to do there.
Alright, that's kind of right. Um,
I think
so
they
we're
should
gonna,
stop switching roles as much as well. I
well,
understand they're showing they're
yeah,
flexible, but like, Fabian is IGL and he can frag. He's shown that he can frag. I mean, any of those guys can frag. They're some of the best. But I think you need to have Kanto on the hard frag. That's what he's known for. Keep Pengu on the support flex, whatever and stuff. It's what he does good on and stuff as an overall player. And Fabian, allow him to also play that full support, but also flex to whatever he feels that, because he is the IGL and stuff, and that's what he does. And just let them take command of the team, and just have the other two players fit into those slots. And I think it'll mesh well. But I just feel like they're limiting the performances of how they could be doing by switching the rules all the time.
yeah, I think that seems right there. Just I heard about that too. Just kind of really a lot of switches just kind of fucks up the team. So we're gonna head into the playoff bracket. As I kind of mentioned, there is a losers side. I don't know if that's confirmed yet. If there's like gonna be a losers bracket kind of stage where you have to lose two matches to get out a year, or you have to lose two matches in the bracket to get eliminated. I don't know if that's
Well, that's how it was
gonna
last year.
happen.
I mean, well, not necessarily
Well,
with the
not in the
with the stage
bracket
bracket. With
play.
the stage bracket, see,
Yes, yeah.
because I think I want to say last year. I could be wrong on this, but I want to say last year there was 2 days of stage matches. I could be wrong, and there was three. But I know this year I think it's confirmed. There's 3 days of stage matches. It's like all the quarters, all the semis, and then grand finals on the last day. Where I think last year was all quarters and then semis and grand. But I could be wrong on that, and it was 3 days.
Yeah, we don't know yet.
I mean, yeah, we'll have to see. I
So
mean,
we're gonna,
it's a
so,
lot more on the line.
sorry.
There's a $3 million
Yeah.
prize pool this year.
Uh, oh, it could be higher actually, based on how much you guys, you buy the Pro League sets
Well,
and
what
the
they do
team
is
sets
no,
and the six invitational sets.
this was the money from that, and they cap it at 3 million, and then they're doing like they do last year, where all the money after that they sprinkle that across all the prize pools for the other events throughout the year. So the next major,
Oh,
the money gets sprinkled across that, the minors and stuff like that. That way they can increase the overall price pool and not just have one event that has an amazing price pool and then all the others would like, small. Yeah. 3 million.
I remember.
I think they said first place teams walking away with 1.2 million. So yeah.
Now remember, guys, go to the R6 store. Buy the sixth invitation, the battle pass. With the battle pass, you help support the teams. Also, if you are a big fan of all these big teams, G2 has a set too. It is on Sledge. Team Empire has a set. It's on Bandit. Rogue, if you're
And an Ash skin.
Rogue. Rogue has it on Jaeger. Ash on EG. I know they are a piece of shit, and their logo has changed too. FaZe on Caviera. I'm gonna list every team on here. Fnatic on Nomad. So not as sincere on Doc or Navi. Space Station on Echo. Is that? Hopefully that's right. I think I seem right about that. No
It is.
TSM skin, disappointingly. Team Liquid on Vigil.
Not yet.
MIBR on Buck. And that's it. Well, I said G2 on Sledge already, but if you do want to buy the skins, it will help support the teams. Also, buying the Pros League sets will help probably increase the prize pool. So yeah, buy the shit. Okay, now let's get into bracket play. Or official bracket play. As I'm gonna go based on what you said. You said Empire will be first. So this is how it works. It goes A and D. Empire will be the first. Well, actually,
I don't know if you have the
A and D.
graphic that shows how they're listed in Group A. With like the teams
No, I'm going
like
first and second. No, this is like playoff bracket based on what you said.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, yeah.
So I kept track of that. So it'll be Group A. So this is how the first match will be. It will be Group A, whoever got first, which you probably said Empire.
Yeah.
I'm probably guessing. And then second, you said BDS. So who?
Ooh, so Empire versus BDS. That's how it'll line up. Yeah, Empire straight up out of that. I don't think there's any real question about that. I honestly think Empire will probably slaughter BDS. I think that'll be a lot of people think it'll be shocker because maybe it's the Shaiko versus Joystick, but I think I don't know if I was when Empire played BDS in the online pro league game, it was such a slaughter. Shepard and just the overall team as a whole, they just walked over BDS and Shaiko. Just he obviously top right first team, but like you wouldn't even know it if you didn't look at the end of the game score sheet because it just seemed non-existent during the whole game. It completely shut him down.
I'll go Empire too on that one. So TSM and NIP. TSM top of Group B. You said NIP will be I think you said NIP will be second out of Group C.
Yeah.
So they won't.
Yeah.
So they'll be the first. Okay, so that seems right. Yeah, that was the one I was kind of confused about when I wrote this down beforehand. This time now, while we were talking about G2. What you got for that one?
So you said NIP versus who?
TSM.
NIP versus TSM. Yeah, TSM gonna walk over that as well. No problem. I think maybe they have a little bump, here or there, because LATAM teams. I don't know how much TSM has land experience against LATAM teams, but yeah, I mean, I think LATAM's gonna have an awakening when they play against Merc and Achieve. That's gonna be something. So, and I don't think they're gonna be able to have an answer for that.
Pojo, man.
Yeah, the whole roster as a whole, but I know everyone just highlights it. I mean, honestly, it's true because a lot of people used to think, oh, Bolo, Bolo's the star player of TSM. He's coming roster. He's gonna carry this roster. I mean, Merck's had a word to say about that one.
So yeah, I gotta go with TSM on that one too. Next one is Liquid and SSG. Liquid top of Group C. This SSG you said second out of Groups B.
That one will be a tough one, but with the form SSG are on compared to Liquid and LATAM right now, I think it'll be a close 2-1 game, but I think SSG come out on top of that. You know, they're kind of pioneering some new strats, and I think they have some experience. They actually were going against, I believe it was Liquid, the first time ever that they showed off the new downstairs defense on Clubhouse that everyone uses now, where you do like the 3 floors hold. You know, they're the pioneers in that, and they showed that off against Liquid, and Liquid were actually kind of easy to adapt to it by the way they thought they could show a flaw in the site hold. But obviously SSG showed how good that defense is. But they're gonna need more of that, you know, stuff like that to beat Liquid, because Liquid is really good at adapting. But I think SSG will come out on top. I think it'll be close, but they'll pull through.
Yeah, I gotta go something on that one. Let's go SSG. I just feel like how the recent form again. They won U.S. Nationals. We gotta mention that too.
Yeah.
And again, they even won the qualifiers real handily.
Yeah.
That's the team you gotta go. I think we gotta go for there. Rec and DZ. Reciprocity and DZ. Dark
Wow,
Side.
so Reciprocity and DZ are gonna play each other. Damn. That's yeah. I mean, I have to go with DZ. Other times, if it was like, you know, a full strength Reciprocity roster back when, you know, when they still had Skies, I would probably say Reciprocity, just because I feel like on land their playstyle, you know, they could upset DZ. But you know, they're going against a really strong DZ right now, who are tied for second in NA, and Reciprocity is still strong, but you know, they have some roster changes. So yeah, I'm gonna take DZ on that one. I actually think that one might go into 2-0. It'll be close, but I think, you know, DZ will have done their prep work. They know Reciprocity very well. Skies will have a lot of info to give on that, and I think DZ just come out on top of that.
Now, give you fun fact here. 3 out of the 4 teams you kind of talked about winning were NA. Empires again, Empire and BDS to both Europe, so it doesn't count.
I mean, it just shows, you know, NA are on form
NA's
right now.
going.
TSM are on fire. SSG are on fire. DZ is on fire. Reciprocity, you could still say is on fire even with some roster changes. I mean, and then if you look at the bottom 4, I still think the bottom 4, even though they're not doing great, E9 and Tempestorm, like, what the fuck ever. Same with EG. The only other one,
Actually,
obviously that's not there.
Differ with United. I feel like United is doing really. I know they don't have a lot of wins. They have so many ties and all that, but I feel like they're doing.
They actually have 1 tie, or 2 ties, and no win.
They tied SSG.
Yeah,
they have a win
I mean,
against Tempo Storm.
Tie with SSG. I don't know how to feel about that. And they tied what with EG?
And I think Lumen. I don't know.
I believe they also tied with EG, because they did tie with EG, because their only win is actually against Tempo Storm, who are playing pretty badly right now. So I mean, it's unfortunate for them. I mean, so I don't think you can give a whole lot of credit to United and stuff. Win against Tempo Storm, I mean, Tempo Storm sitting last, not in good form. You know, a tie against against EG, who aren't doing good. Yes, the tie against SSG is something, but you know, SSG are, you know, prepping for Invite, and you know, they really want to win, and you know, maybe they're saving the strats. Who knows? I mean, it's really hard to say, and I mean, you know, SSG aren't necessarily fully an online team either. You know, they've proven that they're really good at LAN as well. So, and United, they just seem like a team. I mean, obviously it's their first season, but to me, they have that. I don't know what's the word for it. Like, they give off this feeling of they're an online team. Like, they live for online, and that's all they know. Especially with having, you know, very obviously players with literally no LAN experience at all. I think other than Alfama, but Alfama's not even playing. So.
Actually, they are 6th place right now, tied with Luminosity for 5 points.
But still, yeah, but that's the only other team outside of those.
Actually, they also.
Which is crazy, because it seems like NA is becoming top heavy now. Maybe.
Actually, they almost beat DZ. It was 7-5.
But DZ have actually gone all the rounds in all of their matches, which is the crazy thing. So it's not like, you know, DZ smashing other teams and EU and I just happen to get close. You know, DZ's using almost all of the rounds and stuff. I
Well,
mean, the
it was
point
for
is
the first
DZ
four
gets the
playlists, but the
job
last
done.
two have been easy sweep.
Yeah,
So let's get back into kind of the topic.
yeah.
Since we had three American team, three out of four, well, four North American teams in the the regular bracket, as kind of stated. Only two for Europe and two for LatAm. So next thing we're gonna go is Empire and TSM. Now, you said TSM is gonna make the
Oh,
finals.
so this would be
You
semis.
said, yep, that's where it's
Okay,
gonna
well, the
go. Unless
bracket,
you
the
say, pray to
bracket,
God, TSM
you
gets
know,
second.
bracket lined up like that. I mean, it's whatever stuff. If they're, I mean, listen, if they play in semis, it's gonna be a crazy semis match. Like, I'll tell you that because I think last year, Empire Norangu was a crazy semis match. Um, so yeah, oof. I mean, listen, that's gonna be basically a final in itself. Who comes out on top of that? I'm gonna go with Empire, but god damn, is that gonna be a
Oh
close
man,
ass
that's
game because TSM are gonna fight tooth and nail. It's gonna be a 2-1, and I swear it's gonna be maybe not every match is like the full rounds, but it's gonna be a close game. Like if Empire take a strong game, you better believe TSM are responding with a strong game, and then third map, it's somebody's gonna crack under pressure. I
that's
mean.
I feel like TSM would. Because again, you mentioned really, really early
It's
Russians don't crack.
TSM, they're
No
they're
emotion.
expect or they're like the underdogs. Obviously, I think they're assumed to be the underdogs. Empire expected to win. The only thing TSM I think have that will hurt them is like, can they handle the pressure of such a big game against a big opponent who seem emotionless when they play? They don't seem like they feel the pressure that's being put on them when they play games and stuff like that. And if TSM can show that same kind of emotionlessness to themselves, then I think they can have a good chance. Listen, as an NA player and fan and stuff like that, I want TSM to win. Do I think they will? I think Empire just edged that out. I think Empire just have too much going for them, and they want this really bad. I know TSM do too, but I don't know. That Empire roster is just they're star-studded. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah, let's end the story there. Um, I gotta go Empire too. I know I would rather go with TSM, but I think we gotta be honest here. It's that experience on it's just that further experience. Again, TSM they did make it to quarters last year. They actually versed fun fact, they did verse Empire at corners at Rally.
Did they?
Yep, they did. I think
What are
that
the?
showed.
Yeah, but I mean that
They
TSM
did.
was if TSM that was before Geo, so this
That was
TSM
with
now is yeah,
biologics.
yeah, exactly, and stuff. This TSM now is something else. To be honest, I mean, if when it comes down to that, who has more star-studded players and stuff? Every player in Empire is an absolute monster. TSM. A lot of people will say Pojo's the weak link. He is the support. But I mean, look at the supports of Empire. Shepard, my God, best support in the world right now. You could say the same with Karjaker, Scyther, whoever else is playing that role at the time. Stuff. Every one of those players starts on. I just think overall, I just think they'll just have enough to outbeat TSM. Because
No,
honestly, I
that's
think
okay.
that match against TSM is going to be harder than whoever they play in finals.
Oh,
Yeah,
totally.
honestly. Whoever
Which it
wins
will
that match
be.
is winning the whole thing, honestly. If TSM wins, they're winning the whole thing. If Empire wins, they're winning the whole thing.
It will be SSG versus Dark Zero.
Ugh. This is another barn burner right here. My God, these semi matches. Oh. I just, it's really hard to say, but I'm gonna have to go with SSG. And a lot of people think, oh, but DZ's so strong. But them SSG boys are hungry. And Canadian, how many times with EG did they choke finals? To G2 or just in general stuff like that. They even choked the Milan final to Empire and stuff. But he has the LAN experience and he is so hungry for winning, just like the rest of them are on that team. And I mean, DZ, I I just think, someone's got to want it more, and I just feel like SSG want it more, and I just feel like they're going to take it. It's going to be another, 2-1 close game, but yeah, I just think SSG come out on that. I just think they want it more.
I kind of, when I was thinking about it, might want to go something different with DZ. I, because of the previous LAN experience, I think just because of how they did it at Tokonami.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to tell now. I think I think you talk about the Empire and TSM matchup. That one was kind of really hard because again, we're both NA players, and we have to be
Yeah.
honest with it. Um, I don't know. This one's just kind of really evenly matched. Um, let's kind of look at. I kind of want to go more in depth with this one if I can find the NA results. I think let me find SSG. Well, I think SSG lost, or to find it.
I mean, just like
Where
looking at
they?
last year,
Oh,
people could say it
DZ
was
won 7-5 on Villa,
an
and that was
online
basically
play
a clutch by
or
Skies. That was play day one,
I didn't
and
want.
that was because of a 1v2 clutch by Skies that got him a win.
Yeah.
You probably can still stick with SSG. I don't know. I think I'll just go with DZ on this
Because I
one.
just feel like DZ do the prep
Actually no,
online, but
I
when
can't
it
do it.
comes to LAN, there's a lot of pressure and you don't have as much time. And you got to play your game, And I feel like SSG, our team, they dictate their play. Teams imitate or copy, the stuff that SSG does. SSG, they pioneer the stuff that they do. That clubhouse downstairs defense, I swear, I'm seeing amateur teams right now in Xbox leagues running that strat. Like it just shows how influential some of the stuff SSG does is. I mean, yeah, it's just amazing. I just think when it comes down to it, you just gotta play your game. I just feel like SSG come out on top of that. It's going to be tough, but yeah, I just feel like they want it really
Actually, I'll
bad,
go
and
with the same thing.
they're hot right now. They're just like TSM. Obviously, they got smashed by TSM, but I mean, I think TSM are better than SSG, but I think both of them are still the best too.
I'll go with the same pick as you. I don't know. I think just kind of how I think the big factor is Dark Zero has that but I think just kind of looking at the recent performance, even if it was
Yeah.
2 months ago, I that roster change. I think if that roster did not change, I would go with DZ all the way. That's no clear doubt. But that's the fortunate thing what happened, which DZ made the roster change.
The
And we talk
only
about
way,
chemistry,
only
and
way
you
I could
looked at how
see.
dominant.
Yeah, you
Actually,
keep going. I'm sorry, my bad.
let's also add this up too, because this is something we have to add. DZ lost. I know this is kind of early in December. SSG 2-0 DZ.
Yeah.
Now again, that's land. I know that's land experience, but also you kind of have the lack of practice from the side of Dark Zero at the point where
Was DC
just
playing with Skies
they
and Echo at that one?
they were
They
that
were.
same
Was
thing
their
same
first?
thing as Rec. That was same thing as Rec with
Mm.
Bert and
Uh,
Nexus that they made it to the grand finals.
okay.
So absolute same thing.
I mean, just the only way I see SSG losing is if, like, I think, like you said, I think Dade's a great player and stuff and like that. And, I mean, some people expect more of him and stuff, but you got to look at the players he's playing with. He's playing with some star-studded players. He's got Bosco, arguably best smoke and one of the best sports in NA. They've got Canadian, probably arguably the best IGL in NA as well, and a veteran player, one of the best in the world, I would say, for what he did with EG. Um, and then I mean, and then Rampy, Crazy Fragger, and stuff like that. I just think it may come down to how Fultz and Thinking Nade, if they happen to have just an absolute fluke game and just do absolutely poorly, I think DZ could capitalize. But I just feel like they're too hungry to just happen to have a bad game. I just don't see them allowing that to happen.
I can't do. Okay, so let's get into the finals. we're both saying Empire and SSG.
Yeah.
I'm
Um,
guessing we kind of know the winner of this, but you know, if maybe it's different, you know. So who's winning this?
yeah. Obviously, I'm gonna say Empire. The main thing takeaway, they have a star-studded lineup. You know, every player on Empire, like I've said before, you know, is definitely gonna be outperforming or on paper better than that player on SSG. And I would say. I would say another main thing is, Empire, they have the strong map pool, where they have a 6 map pool. The only map that they don't play is Villa. I still been waiting for them to go to a lane and just happen to whip out a Villa all of a sudden and show like some absolutely like mind-boggling strats, but apparently they just absolutely don't like it. I think it was at Milan. It was either at Milan or Raleigh. I think it was at Raleigh. I was like certain. I was like, yo, they've been hiding it for so long. They have to pull out a Villa now and stuff. This would be amazing if they do. Maybe they do an invitational. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just really don't like Villa. I mean, they never played it before. Because I always wondered, it's like, if Team Scrim Empire, regular E Team Scrim Empire Online, what if that team was to
Yeah.
Scrim Villa? Some teams would have to have seen if Empire has something or not. So it's like you can't. It would seem like Empire, they're absolutely solid on every other map. Are they just not doing Villa? Like you would think they would have to have something. Um, Maybe in a best five, maybe they still just go with the Villa ban again. Who knows? We'll see. I think SSG might be a good Villa team though, so that might make it
Yeah,
obvious
I do
for
so.
Empire to just auto ban it as well. But when it comes down to those other five, 5 map whatever SSG ban, obviously those other 5 maps, Empire is just gonna be solid on all of them. So if SSG is weak on any one or two of them, they might as well consider it a loss at that point, unless they just absolutely have counter-stratted Empire to the core. You know.
True on that one.
Uh,
I think I'm gonna go with Empire the same. I think Empire because it just they won a major. I know they won a major. They won the last major. They have been looking a lot better since their mid-season collapse, or
yeah.
I don't want to say collapse because I wasn't really a full, wasn't, but mid-season, second half combustion tank problem, blown up. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to say like a really unique words. Shit show
Yeah.
of the second half. And I feel like this team now has, I think you look at them, again, they're first in Pro League again. That's where you expect Empire to be. That's where you kind of expect them to be. And that's kind of it. I think European teams will win again. 4 tournaments in
Yeah.
a
I
row.
mean,
4 majors.
a
Oh,
lot of
sorry,
people
3
will.
majors in a row.
A lot of
4.
people say, "Oh, and they just can't beat the EU." I mean, or it can't be EU. But I don't think it's necessarily an EU thing. I just think it's an Empire thing. I mean, I don't think. I mean, there's really no team in EU that's beating Empire. I mean, the only one is G2, and G2 just sank themselves. Until they happen to get the roster back down to whatever they want and get back there. Then I think they'll be the next team. SSG, I think, are gonna give a good fight. I really do. I think SSG will give a good fight, and stuff. And yeah, it'll be tough. Now maybe we complete wrong and going back to the semis, maybe TSM just absolutely pull off a miracle and dog them. If that does, and say we get to that NA final, which would be absolutely crazy if it happens. That would be some banter right there for NA. But if it happens, then I would fully expect TSM to win. I just think players like Merc and the storyline it would be like for Bolo to win a world championship. But just everyone on that roster in general, like they're hungry. They're another hungry team and stuff, and they've shown online and they want to win. And if they got to a final like that, I think the hunger to win something like that, like outweighs the pressure that's being put on your shoulders of what if you lose.
See, same. I'm gonna go with that too. I think Empire again. Empire doesn't have a lot of. Empire does have um decent amount of pressure on them because again they have to
Yeah.
defend that title. Well, not the well G2 has it, but at the time they changed it. But yeah, there's gonna be a lot of pressure. I think again, you talk about group play, having pressure. You can just imagine how it's gonna be when it goes to semis, quarters, and all that. It's not gonna be fun.
Yeah, but like
But it
I
will be
said, you know,
fascinating.
I just think whoever comes out of the Empire TSM semifinal and stuff, I think is going to be the winner, like hands down. I don't think there's any argument about that, you know, because that's gonna put him to the test, you know. To come out of that match, you know, you gotta like put on a goddamn performance, and I think at that point, to put on a performance to beat either each other and stuff like that, whether Empire has to put on the performance to beat TSM or TSM the opposite way around, you know, I think it's gonna show that they're just gonna walk over who they play in finals.
MV, okay. Let's kind of go. We're gonna go Empire here. Let's kind of talk about um go back into Lat. Let's go back into that. How these conversations go. The Latin shuffle. What? Looking to kind of just ask like some interesting questions. What player do you want in the Latin region? Do you want to see get moved to a top tier team?
Oh,
Like just
see,
and like from like because the one thing that is struggling with the Latin regions is there's a lot of contract disputes, so that's why you don't see a lot of moves with kind of the top tier Latin teams. Like you don't see a phase player go all the way to Liquid, or
yeah.
NIP make any big moves. But let's go.
Um. See, because I don't follow that much up, you know, with the whole, um, LATAM players in general and stuff. But I would say for NIP, uh, oof,
Well,
I
it
feel
can be
like
any team.
maybe, yeah, I would say NIP obviously should make a move. I think Julio's a great player, and he provides a lot to the team. And obviously Psycho and Muzi are like the two star-studded players on the team. I would say, I mean, every player in LATAM, they're all gunners, but I think Kamikaze or Pino is probably one that should move. And I think maybe if they picked up like a Cyber, you know, from MIBR, which I know MIBR want to keep, but you know, NIP is in a better position than MIBR is. NIP is. Um. So yeah, I think like a move for Cyber to a better team, you know, because he could walk his way pretty much on any team he wanted, you know, depending on who's offering. But I wouldn't necessarily see him on, you know, Phase or Liquid, but I think at NIP be a good fit for him, and that he could turn them with the fragging power that he provides, into a top two team, my opinion, in LATAM.
Okay. Well, this is kind of I like Rust. I talk about rosters and stuff. Let's go to. I'm not gonna really kind of touch on the rosters. You got all of that. Let's go to EU. What move would you like to see?
EU. Well, so obviously I said that, you know, Cryan is getting benched for invitationals and stuff like that by a Penta player, but I don't expect, even if that Penta player performs, I hope it's just alone for the invitational, because honestly, I want to see Panix to G2. A lot of people would say on Twitter, I want to see Panix to G2. I think Panix is a hardworking player, and it's a 4G drop, but I feel like he deserves a chance to play for World Champions G2. I think he could be a good fit. Yeah. 'Cause I feel like he'd mesh well. You know, he would do whatever they want and stuff like that. You know, if they want him to play a certain role, he'd be willing to do whatever. You know, he's flexible. Yeah, I think a Panix to G2 is definitely something to see. Obviously, I'll usually find out about that kind of leak if that plans on happening, but no.
And last thing, before we get into the closing topic, NA.
Oh, NA. Gonna be interesting with NA. Gonna hear a lot of stuff about Invitational. So again, NDA. So you know, obviously, you know, I know where I get my sources from, and they're factual, credible sources. You know, within the pro league. But obviously, you know, can't disclose that, or else, you know, my ass and someone else's ass is in trouble. The thing I can tell you is, you know how like half the NA teams live in Las Vegas in team houses?
Yep.
Yeah, soon it's gonna be all the teams. Um, So I don't know how this is going to work for like EU and LATAM, but from what I've been told for NA at least, is that all the teams are going to be moving to Las Vegas, and Siege is going to be played completely on LAN for their regular season in near future.
Oh,
Yeah. So
interesting.
we're moving towards, kind of like CS:GO, where they only play LAN games, not really a whole lot of online ever. Yeah, definitely will be interesting. Like I said, hey, don't quote me on it, but like I said, I know where I get my sources from. It'll be interesting to see how that works out. Haven't I did not hear nothing about this, but my assumption is that this might lead to the rumor of franchising,
Franchising? Oh,
which I don't think will happen. But what a lot of people have been saying, and this is pretty much kind of like relevant by now, is that ESL is terminating their or Ubisoft, I'm sorry, is terminating their contract with ESL in March, I believe is when it ends. So they're not going to renew, which means Ubisoft is going to obviously uh, regain the rights. Obviously, they're not going to pay ESL no more to run the Pro League for their game. Ubisoft will run it themselves. So maybe Ubisoft has some type of franchising plan in mind. Obviously, it's not expected. They'll do like colleagues. From what I've heard, it's supposed to be still relegations. Whereas like when you look at other franchise leagues like
oh,
Call of
there's no
Duty.
relegations this season. For
Well, I
the
know there's
EU and
none
NA
this season, but
regions.
it's coming back
Yeah.
because after this season is when they add the 10 teams, and then there's supposed to be relegations again. When I was told. So the thing with it is like when you look at other franchise leagues like Call of Duty, with the COD League, or
Launched
Overwatch
yesterday.
with Overwatch League, and stuff. You're a Florida Mutineers fan, aren't you?
Yeah, they won yesterday.
Yeah, I seen that. Um, but when you look at those leagues and stuff like that, if you're an amateur team trying to get in a COD League, how do you do it? You can't. There's no way in. There's if you're in, you
Wait,
just have to
no.
hope.
Well, it's hard on PC. That's the thing.
Well, COD
Like,
League isn't that played on
well, that's
PS4?
possible. That's no. You can hook up an Xbox controller. Yeah, they
No,
have a
I'm saying
device called a Chrome.
no,
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
it's
But all the
crossplay.
professional COD teams that play in the COD League, they all when they're on the stage, they're playing on PS4s because it's
Yeah,
sponsored by PlayStation. Yeah.
yeah, but
Um.
there's a device called a Cronus where you can play on
Yeah, I
Xbox
know.
controller on a PS4.
Well, yeah, if they want to, but obviously I'm saying the console they use is PS4 itself.
Yeah.
But like I was saying though, look at COD League for example. There's no relegations. If you just have to hope that a team sees you shining, balling out, and hopefully they decide to pick you up, and stuff like that. Because there's also really no academy teams either. The COD teams don't have academy teams.
Some of them do. Some
I
of them
mean,
do.
but it's not prominent like say Overwatch
Yeah.
League is and stuff. Overwatch League they have the Contender Series. Their Contender Series has a $2.5 million prize pool, and that's not even the actual professionals. I mean, they might as well
1
be
million.
professionals.
1 million for challengers. It's
Challengers.
250K for the first event.
But when you look at it though, every professional Overwatch League team has their academy team, and then they still have like some qualifiers to allow other AM teams to get into contenders and stuff like that. But there's still no way in a pro. But I mean, it's still better to be on an make your way on an academy team, and that makes it easier because then if you're on an academy team, well then the pro team automatically has their first choice of players to look at if they want to bring someone on.
Yeah, that's kind of what some COD teams have right now.
But overall, it kind of denies the mass amount of people who feel like they should have the right to fight the pro teams for their spot, and prove that they're better and stuff. And that's always something that I'm glad Rainbow's embraced as relegation. If a team's doing bad, they shouldn't be able, like for example, I feel this is why, because I talked to some of the Tempo Storm players, I feel this is why they're doing bad this season. Is the full pros stuff, they're not winning games, but they ain't getting relegated. They could go winless the whole season. Are they getting relegated? No, they're safe, And that's the thing about relegation is it makes you have to always go into every game giving your all. And whereas in COD and Overwatch, they don't really have to give, always give their all, even though a lot of them do, because there ain't someone who's out there waiting to take your spot, like as a team. Whereas in Siege, if you finish last pro league, your ass get you ass fighting relegations. You know what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
yeah. Hopefully, though, if they do some type of franchising, it'll probably be unique to Siege and the way they do it. But hopefully, they still keep the relegations because I think that's such a core part. It'll be interesting to see if that is what they do. But it'll be very cool because I still think relegation should be kept because it allows the tier two scene to fight for their chance to be pro. You know, yeah. I think that's how it should be. Or if they get rid of relegations, I feel like there should automatically Challenger League needs to become like Overwatch's Contenders League, where every team has every pro team has an academy. I think that's how it should be, honestly.
So for how the COD system, like Overwatch contenders, they have their own separate league.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's and League of Legends has the same thing with the academy teams.
Yep.
COD, they do not have that. Well, COD, they do have academy teams. Which if you gonna again, they have.
But there's no like specific league that they're dedicated to.
Yeah, there's no specifically.
Yeah.
So they have okay. So COD is a 5v5. They have five. They play yesterday.
That's the
5v5.
crazy
They have
thing
two
too is
substitutes.
COD has such a loyal fan base, and especially in its tier two, tier three scene. But
Yeah.
the game developers themselves, they do not care at all about their tier two, tier three scene. No, they got the pros.
They have been improving it.
I mean,
They have been improving it.
but I mean, it's still like they don't have like Overwatch or anything like that. Like they should be given the spotlight, kind of like how in Siege, a lot of the Challenger League teams wish Challenger League had more broadcast and matches, had its own specific channel, got more spotlight, maybe a bigger prize pool and stuff like that. Because it seems like it's there, but they don't really care about it. They just care about the Pro League and stuff. Whereas, I mean, it's hard to say and stuff like that, but yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, that's a good point you kind of mentioned. With the first thing, again, it's an open bracket, so the academy teams is just kind of if they have two substitutes on the bench, they have two substitutes. They haven't used it yesterday. On all the games where you can sub a player into a series, so they play a 5-game series. You can sub them into like a search and destroy or a domination or hardpoint or
Yeah, I
whatever.
know League of Legends they can do that as well.
Yeah, they can, but it's more common in Overwatch. Because I think
Yeah.
because of how
Yeah,
big the
yeah, yeah,
rosters
yeah.
are.
Yep, yep, yep.
But not really in League or Call of
'Cause
Duty.
they play
So
like
I don't know how
six
they're
v
gonna.
six in Overwatch, I think.
Yeah, so that's kind of really how doesn't you can make a switch there.
Yeah.
But they have two substitutes. They can either watch and kind of sub in, or the academy teams. They do have academy teams where they have the two substitutes and like three other players who want a team. With academy, with two substitute players, you form the academy team and you kind of go for an open bracket. There's about
Yeah.
let me see. There's maybe five or seven. I was trying to count. Um, let's see. Atlanta FaZe has one. Royal Raven, so that's London. Seattle. Oh, Optic Gaming LA.
What are you naming off all
Uh,
the teams that have academy teams?
all the teams I think have okay. So Seattle Surge, Optic Gaming LA, Minnesota has one, Atlanta and London have one. So there's five academy teams.
How many
Actually,
COD League
we'll
teams
say
are
about
there in
four and a
total?
half because I don't know if Optic announced it. Wait, what'd you say?
How many
Sorry.
COD League teams are there in total?
There's 12.
And there 12.
Yeah, so half. It's about half the league. It's probably a third of the league because I don't know about that Optic Gaming roster. Um,
Makes it even tougher in COD League because they only have 12 teams, whereas in Overwatch League they have like 20 professional
20.
teams, and they keep adding cities all the time. So
Oh, I think it's probably gonna. I think to be honest, I think we'll probably. If you're gonna see a maxed out, there's been rumors of 28. I don't know, probably in the past with Overwatch, but I think maybe the highest we see is 24.
yeah, they probably
I don't know.
kept it at some
I
point.
can't really see it go high. I don't know. It's just hard to imagine going over 20.
Yeah.
Okay, let's actually add one more thing here.
I think a lot
Oh,
of
I
them
forgot about that.
adding extra teams is just for the money because Overwatch League teams pay like what 20 some million a spot.
25 million for
It's
COD, but I don't know how much for Overwatch.
I know Overwatch pays a lot too because they got all sorts of deals and you know yeah
And second thing, when you mentioned about the channel, you know how like they do stream, you know, that's what I like about the Rainbow. I think because they have that dedicate, you know, they do stream
yeah
the they do stream the Challenger League on you know Friday, you know, which
but not
from under dedicated
always,
streams, which
you
is
know, and
nice.
that's what the thing they should it needs more attention kind of thing.
Well, I guess Challenger League it's not Pro League, but again, there's still people who watch it. I think
Yeah,
anyone likes
but
watching
that's
COD
that's
games.
that's the whole point of the argument is like, oh well, it's
Oh,
not pro league, but look at Overwatch League contenders, they're not pros either, but literally all their stuff, gets streamed and they have their own dedicated channel and stuff like that. Like they're like basically pros themselves too and stuff like that. Just because they're not in the official Overwatch League, everything they do, they get paid like pros. They get streamed, all the games streamed like pros, everything. It's so similar stuff. Whereas like you know and Siege and stuff, the pros, oh yeah, Pro League, everything, all that stream stuff, like challenging, it might as well be non-existent. It might as well. A lot of people would think, oh, this must be just like random playing and stuff like that. A lot of people wouldn't even know that this is how you qualify for Pro League. So I don't know. I just feel like there's not enough spotlight to Challenger League compared to how other games like Overwatch League, and there's probably other games too, like putting aside Overwatch and COD and stuff like that, that showcase their tier 2, tier 3 scene better and stuff.
actually,
Like League of
the
Legends
open bracket here,
and Dota.
the open bracket, they don't even show the. They yesterday when they did the COD League, they only streamed like the pro side. There's also you have like the pro matches where you got team versus team,
Yeah.
and then there's the open bracket where you got the tier two. They didn't stream the tier two. I don't know if they're gonna maybe they're gonna stream the tier two soon, like whatever they have in tier two. But I
They
think the reason I was shocked they didn't stream that because the open bracket was the first like there was something you can watch.
might do
But
it
I'm
like
thinking
CS:GO because
yeah,
CS:GO has their
you
Pro
got B
League.
streams.
And then
You got
but
AB
no, but
streams. Yeah.
CS:GO has an official like path to Pro League. It's called the Mountain Dew League. Um
Oh
and
yeah,
not all
heard
the
of that.
games are streamed in there, but once the teams start getting close to the actual LAN and stuff like that, all those games are streamed and stuff. Yeah.
Well, they haven't streamed the open bracket games yet. I think they're. I'm kind of shocked they didn't do that, but I think they're gonna start streaming I think for the COD League they're gonna start streaming. Maybe I'm guessing tier two. Probably in the next couple of events. I think because they're just trying to get probably get used to the new league setup and all that, and like watch all the pro matches.
Yeah.
But once they get used, I think they're gonna have. I think they're gonna have. I'm probably gonna guess soon they're gonna have tier two support. Hopefully. And the last thing I want to ask you is, how, what is the best tips to get to champion? How, you're stuck at me a gold one consistently. What is the best, what have you done to what word ethic have you done to get to champion rank?
I know people ask me all this time and stuff, and it's always kind of hard to tell somewhat because obviously, like since the beginning of the game, I've always been the highest rank. I was diamond off the rip every season, like first day. Same thing with the champion. Um, best thing I tell you is like obviously you got to hit the realistic T hunts a lot. Get your aim down. Um, that's one thing. I always tell people. People think they need to work out as an individual. That's one thing, but you can improve better as an individual as well while playing as a team and showcasing what you can bring to a team. So that's why I tell people always 5 stack, especially when you're playing ranked. Never like 4 Q, trio Q, duo Q, solo Q. It's not helping you. It's a team-based game. You have to if you're solo queue and you're going against a team, like 90% of the time you're gonna get crushed, because there's just so much disadvantages to solo queue. Like, in the game it's team based and it's encouraging that and stuff. So you should always team queue. Don't feel like, it like disproves or whatever how good you are as a player because you had a team to help you and stuff like that. The game is literally team based. It's meant to be played the way it is. You're not supposed to win it all by yourself. Another thing I tell people is don't try to main operators. Like, be flexible. Try to be able to play everything at a good level. Every operator. Try to be able to play every operator at a good level. Same thing with maps. Make sure you know the maps, you know the map knowledge and stuff like that. Um, I try to tell people as well, ACOGs is a big thing. Take the ACOGs off anything that ain't a 3 armor. Like, the only real ACOGs you have is like your DMRs and your Rook and Doc and Echo. That's pretty much it. ACOG, especially when you're a new player, it kind of forces a habit of tunnel vision, and it kind of, like, I don't know how to say it. It like entices you to play this very like passive style where you kind of sit, hold the angles and stuff like that, and it can be hard to break, especially if you stop using it. So I try to tell people, don't really use it on anything that's not. Don't be using it on your 3 speeds if they have it, or stuff like that, or even like your Twitch and shit like that. Obviously, the ACOG is an advantage in a lot of instances, stuff like that. But you should try to improve as an all-around player and learn how to play without it, and then you will still be able to play even better with it. But if you start with it, it's harder to start with it and then play without it. Um, and then for a lot of players, if you get up into, like I wouldn't say you get up into plat and stuff like that, I encourage a lot of players to try to find teams and leagues and start if you're interested, try to play competitively. Even if you're not interested, like going pro or stuff like that, competitive gives you like a whole new insight onto the game, and like it just it expands on your vast knowledge of how the game is played and how you think of certain things, and also turn points off. Yeah, you become such a bit more better player if you turn points off. Like, honestly, that was something, because in comp there's no points on, but just keep them off in general, stuff like that, and it'll teach you good habits. Not always to push for kills.
Push to go
Don't
for,
always
yeah.
don't assume the kid is down unless you know he's down. Stuff like that. Kid, just assume the kid's always up unless you know for sure that he's down. Stuff like that. Um, yeah, yeah, it's a lot of tips, and you just gotta stay hard, stay on the grind, um, and find other people who are about the grind as well, and to have the same goals that you want to do. If you like to fucking win, and you want to grind, and you're hungry to keep improving, find other players who value that as well. I think I made the mistake maybe a little bit last season. Is like I wanted to win, but I was not surrounding myself with players who cared about winning as much as I did, and stuff. So sometimes you have to change that, uh, to figure out how to become better and stuff. So yeah, pretty much all I got.
Uh, hopefully I'll try to use the tips you said. Maybe not the points one. Maybe I'll just kind of leave the player. If injured, I'll just kind of leave him there, make sure I'm kind of safe. But
It play for the win. Too many people on this game play for the stats. Like, listen,
yeah,
I've been
it
out
does
here
happen
main at
sometimes.
thermite and smoke, and competitively thermite smoke. I can play anything, but in comp, I'm a support, so I main the hard breach and smoke usually. Uh,
It's
since
kind
the
of similar to
beginning and
me.
stuff. Like,
Well,
I
it's okay.
play for the win. I don't care if I go 0 and fucking 10. If we're winning the game, that's all I care about. Like, I don't care about doing good, doing bad. It's always great to do good. So, and if you're winning, you're generally doing good. But I care about winning. I'm a competitive person. I hate losing more than I love winning. So obviously, yeah, no, just yeah, really,
Well,
that's really
well,
it. No,
yeah,
all there.
that should be it. Hopefully those tips will kind of help anyone or me kind of improve in ranked since I haven't really been some. I usually get to gold one, get to plat for like maybe 1 or 2 games. I'm out. But thanks. I'm gonna pronounce your name wrong. Game.
Werzer,
Rooks
Werzer.
Werzer
Yeah.
for joining me on the Game Tech Show, talking about our 6 invitational predictions. Hopefully, our predictions are kind of right with kind of the Empire winning versus DZ. Sorry, SSG in the finals. Do you want to give any shout outs before we end the show
Um,
to anyone?
if you guys just want to follow me on all my social medias, I'm sure it'll probably be linked somewhere. I don't know.
I'll
But
put it in the bio of the
yeah,
video.
it'll be on all my socials the same as my gamer tag. So just follow me at Werzer on Twitter, on Twitch. I used to stream consistently. I haven't been able to lately, but I'm trying to get back into streaming consistently. Same with Instagram as well. I try to post montages at a decent rate over on the Instagram if you guys like some good content there. But yeah, just follow me on all those on there, and just keep up with whatever I'm doing and stuff like that. Right now, pushing. We got a PC that's halfway built, and goal is within the next 2 or 3 months to finally have it done. It's been way too long. And then go to PC and begin the grind to Challenger and then Pro League. So yeah, if y'all wanna go over there and follow my journey on that, feel free.
Also, just pronounced. It's probably be in the title video, but spell Wurzer, Wrzzr.
Yeah.
That's on all social medias. And also, this is I never really give a shout out to anyone, but I want to thank. Uh, I was not able to find you. I had a hard time really finding a guest for this topic. That would be kind of really easy. Um, really, I want to thank Mia. How I pronounce it? Miawu.
Meow.
Wow. I don't know.
Meow.
Miawu.
Yeah, that's my girlfriend.
I want to thank her for kind of. Also, wait. Actually, I want to give two shouts. Because it was a two-person connection. I did not. I want to thank Garfield's doc for getting me, for kind of giving me a contact with Miawu, and then Miawu giving me giving you, kind of giving also a contact with to you. So what I think started with Garfield, and then went to Miawu, and then went to Workster. So that's kind of how I found the guest. Thanks for joining me on the show. Hopefully, you have a good luck with your R6 career as in regards to Xbox and PC. Maybe in a year or two, maybe in probably, I don't know when you're going to be finished with your PC, but maybe I'll see you next season in Challenger League or Pro League. Hopefully, that's the
Yep.
case where you make it through relegations.
All right, that's the goal.
Well, that's going to be on stream, guys. Thank you guys for watching. Bye.